The following podcast episode might contain coarse language and subjects not suitable for younger audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Live from a not-so-sleepy little town comes a podcast for a mobile game. Really? Anyhow, your hosts, a content creator and an artist trying to come up with wild ideas while also talking about whatever. It's the Goosebumps HorrorTown TerrorVision podcast!
Hello, ladies! Welcome back to episode 3, technically 4 of this podcast episode. As always, I'm Grim, and with me is my co-host, Vampire. And you got cut off. All right, yeah. Nice Mr. Hanky impression. I think he got canceled, too. They didn't want to have a piece of poo talking anymore. All right. Oh yeah. Welcome to this interesting episode of
because everything I say is shit.
Yeah. I mean, you should be known by now. We give you a warning that we're going to be doing some naughty words, so you know. But in context, this is being recorded on the sorry, I'm looking here. The 23rd of March, and you're going to see this most likely on the 20th of April. Or no, the 19th of April, my bad. Yeah, so that seems to be the correlation. So while you probably thinking of Easter or Earth Day, we are going to be talking about St. Patrick's because that just passed, and that's kind of like what the theme that we're dealing with right now with their other games. So yeah, normally around this time we talk about some some interesting things, but there's not a whole lot to talk about. I mean, I did recently post about new actors coming to the second season of the show, but who cares about that? Not important. So, but this why don't we jump in? Yeah, so why don't we jump into our main discussion? Something we kind of talked briefly about last episode, but we're going to be talking about fully now because the update officially ended, and that is My Harry Valentine. So let's go ahead and discuss our thoughts on the thing. So before we do more in depth, what was your initial overall thoughts on the whole thing?
Pixel seems to have this thing where, you know, the female characters have to fall in love with like the werewolf characters, you know.
If I hadn't, yeah,
I mean,
they seem about that really too. Like if I had a nickel every time that happens, I would have 2 nickels. But yeah, what is that? That's like twice now that we have a character that fall in love with a werewolf character. But to be fair, it's either werewolves or vampires. Yeah. I don't know why. They just love them. Oh, so hunky. Especially because he's a nerd, right? But I guess it makes sense for Lucy because, like, he was into Ricky. Like, that was her crush. But Ricky already has a nerd girl, Brooke. So that was, you know, she was taken already. So, yeah, now she has a proper date with someone around her age. But,
yeah, just wait until they fucking develop werewolves and then have like the female character fall in love with that one because they're a werewolf.
Yeah, most likely. Like I can imagine like there's a future idea that I want to do with when it comes to werewolf skin because we've talked about the whole werewolf attack type of thing and we could probably bring him it's interesting and all that stuff. I know I talked about in the update in the videos that I'm being made right now that Erasmo, one of our other, like my partner in crime, who originally was supposed to be part of this episode, thing, but he's doing other stuff at the moment. He mentioned how he was upset, not upset, but maybe disappointed how they were like werewolves when Spawn, like how Will is in a sense. But what I thought was interesting was when you unlocked their scene that our boy Noah actually walked on 2 hind legs instead of his other friends who decided to go all feral and 4.
Well, I mean, is it really unwerewolf-like for them to run on all 4s?
No, that's not the problem at all. The one thing I mentioned, the only complaint I had with the animations was they seemed more like dogs than they do werewolves. It maybe just be the animations or the look of it, because I've noticed with the artist who's doing this, it's a little bit more cutesy, I would like to say. I'm not sure if that's like what would you
Like
describe it
little
as?
puppies.
Yeah, like they're not threatening.
Like
It's like,
yeah,
yeah,
little
they're
cute
like,
puppies.
whatever. I love too, by the way, that the werewolves for both three characters are literally using the same template. It's just color my Sonic OC. You notice that too. It's the same look. They just kind of take the werewolf look and then be like, all right, let's put her hair here, and then okay, now we change the color. I mean, whatever saves on money. But it's sometimes funny when you point things out like that.
Ill.
Yeah, one of the jokes about the whole thing, which I'm going to bring up in part 3, is there's a Billy and Mandy episode. It's hilarious too because this involves another nerd who kind of looks like Noah when you think about it. He got turned into a werewolf at one point too.
McDonald's?
Full moon.
What's going on, John?
Oh, yeah. Oh no, it's puberty.
Oh
Uh,
no, puberty!
yeah, no, it's funny too because his voice changes too. It's like, oh no, it's puberty. uh, yeah, no, it's funny because I literally like when you're reading it, it's just like, oh, I was so angry in my monster form, and it's just like, God, how? God, come on, man. It's not gonna get close to like my hairy adventure, but you might as well, right? The story, by the way, too, was weird. I mean, we talked briefly about that, but it's interesting how that turned out. It's just like they basically set him up to reveal that he was a werewolf, which, like, yeah, the kids got scared, but then they're like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. But that's not right. We should go back and apologize to him. Meanwhile, he's like upset at his former friends, like, see, Bean, they don't like you because you're a monster, but you should be with us. And he's like, fuck you. I don't want you no more either. So he has nobody, right? And then Lucy comes in, or
They're like really
but
fucking toxic.
yeah, I know. I noticed that too. It's like, God damn. It's like, man, what's wrong with them? Like, can they not? They can have monster friends too. It's whatever. But anyways, at some point they do try to meet up with the kid, and of course he's kind of angry and angry about everything, right? Because he's in his monster form. But of course, Beauty calms the beast, where Lucy basically admits that she loves him, and he's like, wait, what, really? Like, even knowing what I am now, it's just like, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised at first, but we can make it work. I mean, I have a friend who basically is dating a werewolf too, so, yeah. I mean, although they don't say it's a werewolf, it's like, oh, it's a monster, but come on. But I do find it
I
was,
know that
it,
those two friends of it. I know. Go ahead.
uh, what happened? You got cut off there.
Oh, ugh, I knew it. Hang on.
Hold on. They were having difficulties. Can't speak. But yeah, we had some problems.
Yeah, it's like
That's what happened last times before. I mean, that's the hard part. It's like normally with these podcast episodes, you want to have people within the actual room, right? Like, but I don't know. Sometimes things happen. But
yeah. It doesn't matter what connection I'm on. Cuts off
I mean, it was
eventually.
yeah. I mean, but it's fine regardless. I mean, I make sure that you're good, and then like by the time this goes on air, it's like no one notices. Like I tell people when I record my stuff, and I'm just like, oh, I forgot to edit something, and then they watch the video and things got edited. So it's just like, like what the hell are you talking about? It's like a weird process of editing type of stuff. So it's just raw footage. On the other hand, that's the weird context of things. I've always had fun though when it comes to doing recordings like this now though because I'm able to comment and then also have future me basically post editing Grim make jokes alongside like what I did with the Valentine one. Like I knew what I was getting myself into, so I was just like, all right, I'm gonna set myself up for a funny joke. But I mean, I hope it was funny. But you know, humor is to the eye of the beholder.
Excuse
Good. All right. So anyway, I do find it's interesting that it's like a cute couple with them because it's like, all right, yeah, I can see that. So yeah, Bean finds love, but then he's like, oh, I feel bad now because it's like I just basically told off my old friends because I was ashamed of my monstrous, but I'm not. So
Well,
he goes back to his
to
friends
be
and
fair, like his old friends are really fucking toxic.
they are, and they still are. When he was like, "Sorry, we only talk to monsters." Like, what the fuck? Like, God, like
Yeah,
that's not really
what kind of
friends,
friends
are
are
they?
those?
It's like, yeah, whatever. But anyways, he's just like, no,
It's
I
like
apologize.
it's one of those fucking it's either us or them type of things, you know?
It's stupid. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know if it's because of the whole like, "Ooh, werewolves are big pack animals, so of course, they're so, you know." By the way, I do like how they try to make the prize the like statues as of late, but my God, the last statue, the werewolf love one, that's so stupid looking. It's like generic werewolves. Yay, threesomes!
Genetic. Oh,
I mean, there's three of them,
I'm so
so it's a werewolf
desensitized.
love, so why not?
I can't look at that word the same
The
way.
three amigos. But yeah, I do like how it ends. It's like, all right, let's do one last scare. And yeah, when I joked in the first part, I was just like, I'm surprised Slappy doesn't realize Curly was rhyming, and usually he's pissed about stuff like that. But then they made notice of it near the end when he started to rhyme, and he's like, all right, that's it. Come here, you skeleton boy. Get a good smacking. I'll show
Time to
you.
earn some foods.
Yeah, so there's that. Uh, the animations that they've had available this time around, I do like. I'm gonna take. Where am I right now? All right, there I am. So let's see the animations I got going on. So why don't we talk a bit about them, one at a time, I guess, unless there's something else you want to talk about the story. Actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's talk about the second half of the story. So after the main story ended, if you got the pass and you unlocked Noah, you got his story, which was a five-parter. And I thought that they would do the gist of not copy paste, but lo and behold, couldn't help himself, copy paste from the book it was sourced upon. I mean, I granted it was a side story, so it had to make sense somehow, but I don't know. I missed the days when they were original, and now it's like, nope, gotta be exactly the story. So yeah, so they start off with him doing a narration, and he's like, "Oh, you hear how I met my monster?" It's like, "Oh, aren't you cute? You're trying to be like how I met your mother thing, right?" And even Dustin was talking about it too. I was like, "What are you talking about? We're exactly the same age." And then, of course, that pisses him off in monster form. It's like, all right, shut up now. It's like, shut up. I'm trying to do a thing here. I'm trying to be entertaining.
I'm trying to be edgy.
Come on. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, he talks about the story, right? And he's just like, all right, so, like, here's a story all about me back in the day. But, yeah, it basically it's a
I
no.
can just imagine the French Prince and
Yeah.
just with him in it.
We're a couple guys. No, nothing, no good. Down up in the neighborhood. No, but what was interesting about it is that it's a copy paste of the story. So, like I mentioned in part 0, it's literally what's happening here, but in a short note version. So, Beans gets bullied. By the way, that was out of random. That you got the bully character there. It's like, well, okay, cool asset. Where the hell did he come from? And he's just there for 2 scenes. It's like, what a great work, much of effort there. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's supposed to be based on the past, but it's like, you could have just easily used Marty. I mean, he looks like a Marty, but he looks like Curly, like not Curly the
Well,
skeleton, but Curly from the Three
hang on.
Stooges.
Hang on. This is supposed to be before like he showed up to Horror Town.
I know,
So
I know, and that's why I was just kind of like,
it's kind of like a prequel story, so that they
I
can't
know,
really
but
use Marty as like a bully character in that regard.
use color like instead of making a new character, just color Marty differently and be like, done. Save on assets, yay,
No,
money
come on,
saved.
that's way more lazy. That's
I
way
know, but
more
it saves
lazy.
them more
Come
money. You could have done more better. I know, yeah. So anyway, they got a new bully character, Harlan. By the way, when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. So is he the monster bear item that we got? Because I'll be honest, I vaguely looked at the story, so I don't know the full context of that. I don't know if there's another Harlan character, but that was his name, right? The bully character. So and then he
I
got
know I
Harlan the
saved like
bear.
the screenshots when I was doing the event.
Yeah. So no, that was interesting. I thought for a moment near the end it'd be like, oh, it was revealed that Harlan's also a monster, but no, no, he's not. He got scared by oh Harlan, guess who's the bully now?
He got spooky.
Yeah, but it's
I'm gonna
interesting too
bully you
because
so hard.
yeah, God, it's stupid too, by the way, because it's like the friends don't tell friends bit. It's just like you're the monster. Friends don't tell friends, Bean. By the way, if they were really friends, why call him Bean? Right? You would call him Noah. That's the name he went by.
Well, because his fucking name is Beanstalk. He's just asking to be called Bean.
His parents call him Bean. You're like, what the hell? Like the only person who called him Noah in the book was the teacher. Right? That should tell you all you need to know about this kid. It's like, it's my life now. Bean is my name. Fuck my
Also,
life.
I want to point out that I also want to point out that Harlan looks more like Sheldon Cooper.
A fat Sheldon Cooper, yes. Bazinga. I'm gonna joke about that now.
Bazinga.
Every time he pops in, it's like Bazinga. Yeah,
Bazinga.
good.
Or
Yeah.
just
Well,
like,
by the way,
or
I
just
played.
have like a little thing of his head just pop out from the screen every time we say Bazinga.
Yeah. No. By the way, I finished the part in the context. I'm finishing part two off, and I'm trying to upload that and premiere that now. And I made the bean joke, and I blamed you for it. And one of the funny things about that joke is that at some point I also said that, I decided to add the bullshit thing from It's Always Sunny in there as well. So I had to add the warning thing there, but it's like, no, I only had the warning just for that one joke. And if you had a problem with that, I have one thing to ask you. And then I used the clip from the Bean movie. It's like, are you feeling lucky, punk? Because there's like 3D, like green screen of it. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is too good. He just comes out of nowhere with finger guns. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, hopefully people enjoy this because I'm having fun making these videos and trying to do jokes, but sometimes they're hard, man. Trying to figure out what to make fun of or have fun with. But yeah, no, it's funny too because in the context of stuff, they're like, they're almost like the point where what he thought were friends, technically we still think that they're not really friends, right? But at some point they're like, okay, you know what,
Yeah,
that's
the
not.
toxic group.
Yeah, the toxic group, and then they're like, okay, you know what, this is not working. Just calm down, Bean, for a minute, and then just kid is scared for his life. By the way, he's like, she's like, calm down, okay, we're not gonna eat you. We were trying to help
Yeah,
you.
how the fuck do you calm down after being scared half
Like
to death?
literally yelling at the kid. It's like, ah. I get the context of what they were trying to do, but
Yeah,
it's
like
like,
imagine
God, poor kid. And it's just like, okay, you know what? Drink
like
this. And it's like,
imagine
I don't want to drink it. Just drink this thing. The monster helper. Now with lime flavor, extra hairy. The context of that, like, by the way,
hard to get it there.
it's funny how someone had to make. All right, how do we make a monsterator? All right, we make it like a energy drink can with the monster, with the monster face of from the book that they redrawed, by the way. So that's not like actually from that cover. They literally redrawed it in their own style, but it's funny regardless that they try to make like, oh, now it's like extra hairy. Oh, it's just so stupid, but it's there's the charm of the game that they try to add context in there. And to be fair, by the way, one of the animations with him actually drinking said Monster Helper, it's the actual can that they've made asset for, rather than when Evan, I forgot to mention from the last episode, when Evan was playing with Monster Blood, it's literally the Monster energy drink can. Like, like I guess in that it's
Yeah.
like I get it, it's named Monster, but like really? You couldn't just use the asset you made of the monster, no? Okay. But yeah, there's that.
Well, this was still in its early days, you know.
I mean, not really. I mean, it was in his third year, but yeah, it's different team, different thing. But yeah, that's the story of the whole thing, and overall, I had fun with it. Don't get me
Well, I
wrong.
mean, like, what
I
what I
think
mean to say is that the whole,
yes.
yeah, go ahead. It's hard to get a word in edgewise anyway.
All right. Sorry. Uh, the context of this whole thing, like, yeah, so the story, I mean, the story was fine. I don't mind it. It was good for what it was. I think the problem with it is that it suffers from early yearitis, where for some reason, I don't know why, but every update that happens in the beginning of the year are usually the worst updates. So I'm not looking forward to the next one coming up because I have a thing with April. Like, I have a vendetta against it. So if for some reason April just has the
Right.
crappiest of updates. Not all the time, but most of the time it is, because the theming of it is so garbage. But
I don't
yeah.
know. I liked Egg Monster from Mars.
No, the egg monster from but that was on May, by the way. That technically, that although it was an Easter update, that was like, May, so technically that didn't count.
Well, no, I counted it as an April thing because it was supposed to
Yeah,
be
but it was
for
supposed to
Easter, but
be
it
it
got
was
delayed.
posted in May, so yeah, but
I
like I
know that
said,
it was posted
not
in
all
May, but it
context.
should
It's
have been
just
April.
yeah, it's a personal thing for me. It's usually their best hardcore like their most popular ones tend to be around Halloween, which makes sense because that's your A game. Like you have to be your A game. That's like spooky month. It's like that's the whole theme of the game is spooks. So it's like you gotta make sure that month if you're gonna screw up like make the best, it better be on that update because if you fail on that update, then you get a you know trick or trap situation.
Or Full Moon Fever.
Yeah, full moon. I mean, that was a sad update. That was like a how they didn't even call it full moon fever. They just said Halloween. I was just like, oh, that's sad. But yeah, no, that was like nah, that was a depressing. That was a farewell update. But then it turned out, nah, joking. We're back because our other game died, so we had nothing else to go for. All right, some few things have come up here. That's good. All right, we'll do that then. So, yeah, so as far as story stuff goes, I think that's about it, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw in there from the story that you wanted to mention. But I think we've talked about everything from the story's perspective.
No, I got nothing.
Okay, so let's do animations now. So we're going to go at one at a time, and during this time, I'm going to show off the animation stuff here, so enjoy them. So let's talk Marty with his milkshake dance. Like, what the hell was that all about? Like,
That's
that is the most
that's
random.
fucking cringe.
That's the most random thing I've ever seen, and that's like Fortnite levels of cringe right there. like, like why Marty of all people? He had no, there's nothing with him in this update, but there he is, right? Okay, cool. So yeah,
It's supposed to take place in the fucking 90s, and yet he's doing like Gen Alpha.
yeah, I know. I mean, no, this logic it sometimes doesn't make sense because it's like supposed to be taking place in the 90s, but then Slappy mentions it year like on year, so it's like, oh, it's 2020, this year sucks, and it's just like, Slappy, you're not supposed to be knowing what the bubble. So it's like I don't know. It's like we're in a context bubble where things are like 90s like technology, but it's still present day. So it's like I don't know the context of what the hell's going on, but okay. So they got that going on. Uh,
Yeah, even though they had like fucking 80s tech and fucking internet.
yeah. So so there's the Marty dance. So there's not much else to that. I don't know. That must be based on something, but I can't for the life of me know exactly what that's referencing. I'm sure some
What, the
young,
dance?
yeah, the dance because I know the dance. I've seen that dance before, but I can't for the life of me know what it's called exactly because I know it's not called the milkshake dance, right?
N- No, it was something else. But
I'm
either that,
sure
but
my,
even then, like
I'm
a
sure
lot
my,
of the dances on Fortnite are
I'm sure my
cringe.
younger viewers will probably know what that is. They're all hip to the whole Fortnite stuff,
Well,
so yeah. I know you people. Anyways, actually, hopefully they don't watch this because that's gonna be bad. It's just like, watching bad mouths. It's like we're bad influences. All right. Um, so why don't we talk about Lucy's animations that they got going on here for the free? So the first one was, I think it was the waiting for Noah animation, which is just her sitting in a tree. I do like appreciate the fact that they kind of have this nice decoration of like you're trying to make it spooky, but also like this weird take of being spooky, but also fit with Valentine's Day, which is a lot better than how they handled the bride updates. So I'll give them that.
yeah,
Not much else for that one. So and then there's another animation that kind of does her searching for stuff using the werewolf cave one. And the Werewolf Cave,
yeah,
I do like how that's like that's properly sized as a cave, right? So it's nice big beef, right? Compared to free items, which was ridiculously small. But yeah, I do like the fact of the building itself. Like you get to see little hearts and where like it fits with the whole oh yeah the werewolves and Valentines and all that stuff. But the animation itself, I think it's been recycled before, like her just looking down. Like I'm sure we've seen that before, so it's nothing new. It's just another recycled thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So there's that. And I guess the last one was technically not her because this is a Noah animation, but she was the one who has it. But I guess I can guess why, because you don't have Noah's, but it's context of the story. But I'm sure after the event that Noah's going to have this animation associated with the werewolf plushie, which is literally just let's take the image of the cover and turn it into marketable plushie form. And we can't put
No,
word.
please,
No, put me into
Terrell, don't
marketable
turn me into a
plushie.
marketable plushie.
I've seen somebody was making like a lot of people make fun of the whole marketable plushie things, and I've seen there was a YouTuber who is like does he I would say he does FNAF, but he mostly does mascot horrors type stuff. And I'm trying to think what his name is, but he's famous for his artwork being like really creepy designs of stuff. But I remember when he was shilling for his plushie of himself or his persona, that every time he would show up, it's almost like he got turned into a plushie. So all of a sudden, every time you see his plushie, he's just here, like he's screaming eternally in the plushie form.
Yeah, I remember there's like a body transformation with that. I'm trying to figure out
Oh God, really?
I'm trying to figure out which channel that was too. It does ring a bell.
That's horror. Like I joke about like the thing is when it comes to horror is that the one thing I love about it is when it's horror that's not like as predictable as you think. Like the fact of like the body horror type stuff, like turning into a marketable plushie. It's like yeah, in context that's funny and humorous, but that can also be terrifying. And sometimes with Goosebumps, some of the episodes and the
Oh
concept of
yeah.
that's kind of terrifying when you think about it. Like turn into a
Oh
puppet.
yeah.
Like God, it's like no. Especially being controlled by another puppet. It's just like, But yeah, no. So his animation is just him transforming to the werewolf and, lack of tail by the way, but that's okay. He just kind of fades in and out. At least that one works. I know there's this weird thing back in the 20s where it's like an animation would work once and then for some reason it just doesn't again. And it's like what happened there? Why did the animation just stop working? Or how Mr. Piccolo had one like big giant hand for one of his animations. But yeah.
Wait, Piccolo had what?
There
A
was an
big head?
animation where if like the animation where he's like thinking and going Eureka, like the little light bulb thing, his hand is giant
Yeah.
during that time. So the size portion is
Oh,
just weird. It still is to this day. They actually, I guess we'll save the Piccolo thing when we get to, I guess, talking about that because I'm sure we'll save it for Christmas because that's the most sensible thing to do. Because we could talk about it now, but then it's like, off topic type thing. I want to keep it as close as possible. So we'll leave that for now. So that's all Lucy
plus
stuff.
Piccolo wasn't involved with the event.
Yeah, so that's all Lucy stuff. So that's how it's there. So the last free animation we get is Dustin with interacting with the Easy, right? Which is at first I was wondering what he was gonna do with that, like actually interacting with the item, but no, it's literally just interacting with Werewolf Boy over there, like him barking and like snarling and all that stuff, like acting like a monster himself, right? And he's like, "Oh, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, dude, calm down, calm down."
Yeah, chillax, man.
Yeah,
Take a
calm,
chill pill.
calm your, calm your hairs. Uh, so that one's fun. I do like that, and that's probably going to be another interactive thing where Dustin and him, Noah, like after post update that they're going to fix and put that in there. So there's that. But I think that's it for the free. So as far as free animations go, I think they are decent for what they were, right? And they seem to be doing a thing where characters that are associated with this event that is exclusive, they will allow the character, like the free
Wait,
characters
you
to.
didn't mention Eric.
What do you mean by Eric?
No, wait, Eric didn't have an animation.
No,
I
there is no
forgot Eric
animation
didn't
with
have an
Eric. Eric
animation.
had nothing to do with this anime. He had this one quest of going into like the back alley, and that was literally just him just going into building to give you item. You just use your animation about that. Like how Ricky was like, "Oh, this rabbit is a rat." And you know what? By the way, about that with that meme that I posted there, like literally that's what it is. But it's like what would have made better sense is that if you can actually make that rat, like imagine if it was a rat statue that someone tried to dress up like a rat, like a rabbit. And by the way, why a rabbit statue? That makes no sense in the context of like that's like early Easter, unless that's like, oh, we're not gonna get an Easter update, so here's your Easter update. Here's your stupid statue. This is what you get. But yeah, no, it's funny context with that type of stuff. But yeah, still love that. By the way, is this a rat? Is this a giant rat?
I think what threw me off about the in terms of decorations was the fucking pig monster thing.
The Pigmont? What?
Yeah, you didn't get the statue for the weird ass pig monster thing.
I think I'm trying to recall what that is.
It kind of looks like a fucking bipedal pig monster with like a wife beater.
Oh, you mean the Harold Herland the bear?
Like tusks.
Man bear pig
Yeah,
bear? Yeah, the man
that's
bear
supposed to be a
pig.
bear. It looks more like a pig.
Yeah, no, I mean it's called Harlan the bear, and the bad the bully character's named Harlan, so that's why I was in context of like, wait, is that the bully? Is he a monster or like what the hell the context of this thing? Because I be honest, I have not read the book properly, so I don't know the full context of the thing. But I'm sure he probably read it and be like, yes, put this in there. I'm sure someone who read the book appreciate that. But I'm probably years from now, after when I finally read the book, I'll be like, oh, stupid me, I feel like an idiot. But no, I'm gonna be oblivious to this, so sorry. So when we talk about the premium animations, which we'll talk about the least expensive and the most expensive. So it seems like what they've been doing is that I've noticed this now when we look at characters who is associated with the bundles, any characters that drop the big prize item are the ones that have the animation. The other ones drop the normal common items. So anytime in the future we see a character drop like a premium item, we know that's the character that has the animation. So the one that's the least the least expensive was the Masked Mutant one with him basically breaking his back. I find that was weird, by the
But
way.
that also came with, Andy, in the Searchlight.
Yeah, but blind by light. Just stares at it, just like
Still a
her
great
eyes are just
acting
burnt, and he's like, I don't know why I'm doing this. I hate this quest. I hate this task. I want to be drunk for 35 hours. Not like this. Yeah, but yeah, the context, like
Like
sometimes
I
you have
can
to make
just like I can just imagine Andy just like staring right into the searchlights,
her
muscles
eyes
just
completely
burn,
burnt. The giant
just like
eyeballs
they
are like,
catch on fire. Like
like you just hear the sizzling of the, yeah. But yeah, the animation with the Masked Mutant there, I like, it's funny, like, haha, he can't lift the thing, he breaks his back because he's a pathetic supervillain. But uh, the context of this
or it could
is,
be like the Thor.
but
It could be like the Hammer of Thor effect,
that's
where
what I was
like
going to get towards, because there's three angles you can look at this. Either that this is light as a feather, so that literally makes him like fucking pathetically weak. This thing is actually more heavier than it looks, which is possible. Or the more funnier is that this thing's glued into the floor. So no wonder you can't lift it.
it could also have like a Thor effect where
Only certain,
only
like
certain people can can't, or
the sword of Excalibur, where only Arthur can pull it. Yeah, so that kind of thing, where only one person can
well, I
lift
was
it.
going to mention that too, but
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, Thor is a more modern day example because someone's like, "Well, what's Arthur? I don't know what Arthur is. Never seen Sword of the Stone." Uh, yeah, no. So that's the context for that one. So I guess depending on how you want to view that candy cane being like, if it's heavy or light, I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with. I mean, Mace Eakins probably made it. I don't know. She's a candy maker, so that's possible. But now, I guess let's talk about the most expensive of the decorations, the one with Curly. By the way, I'm glad that he brought Curly into this because it's like one, it's like, normally it's like only buy the key because that's usually the most value for your buck. But it's like in this case, it's like, oh yeah, no, when this thing goes on sale, buy it if you don't got Curly because Curly's got game breaking. But my God, did they like? I know we made fun of him before, where it's just like poor Curly's being crapped on, but no, the devs they gave him no favors with this animation. Like that is so pathetic. Him trying to shoot an arrow, but literally just keeps dropping the damn thing. Like, how weak is this man?
I mean, he's literally a skeleton,
I
so
know, but look at his sisters and all that. They're skeletons too, and they can manage. Like he can't. Like he can't even scare properly. There's people like his head falls off.
I mean, some would say that decapitation is pretty
I mean, he gets
terrifying.
scared by Prince Karoo for crying out loud, making the mention of that one. That one quote.
Oh yeah.
That was funny. It's like, yeah, the one character Prince Karoo could scare is a Curl. It's like, oh, yeah, the Rhino gonna win. uh,
Actually, what's really funny about Prince Corru, what I usually do in my game, I have him like set up somewhere. I don't know why I put him there. I guess it's for like temporary space. But every time I like unleash him, he just like the fucking marathon to chase one person, and then even if he couldn't reach him, the thing would just be done already. I'm like, oh well, that's enough scaring for one.
yeah. So with Beans, so now we're gonna go into Beans' quest animations because he's the only one that has the other animations. I think he has four of them, besides the one we've talked about previously. That's probably gonna get added after the update, like patch update comes in. But I guess if you did not get all four of the, I mean, all two of those packs plus the gold key, you didn't get the scene with the three amigos, which they've changed to the Sternum House final prize, which I thought was interesting because the description was like the Sternum House Last Amigos scare or something like that, but then they changed it to like Sternum House slash final scene. Like, okay, like final prize or something like that. So I'm sure they're gonna change it after, but I just find it funny, regardless. Like they have to change the name of the scene because they can't correlate because there's like another one on the promenade, so it's like they can't be two. We can't have two of them, right? So if you didn't get that, Bean does have animations where both Liza and Monroe are shown. So one of them being the weird burger balloon one where you just see Monroe just devouring burgers.
Monroe has crazy metabolism.
Yeah, he's a growing boy. He needs the protein. Hey, it's better than Liza, who literally just eats the class pet hamster there. Like Cuddle's gonna watch his back, man. Like she just grabbed the damn
I
thing
used to
and
have
just
a metabolism like
yeah, like she
Monroe.
just grabbed the damn thing and just devoured it in whole. This like damn. I know there was a context with that in the story with that happening, but I was just like, God, that's kind of morbid when you think about it. Poor hamster. But uh, yeah, and then he actually interacts with the dark alley where he's getting basically he's just getting pulled by Liza. It's just like, oh no, monster grabbed me with the little hairy arms, just dragging, strangling. So there's a fun concept with that one. And then I guess the last one with him is his drinking, which, that's just him drinking. I do appreciate the fact that they actually added the monster can there. So it's like, oh yeah, the monster helper, yeah, that's what he's drinking. So it's like, okay, so it's not a generic, let's just place item here. So at least they're using proper assets for that. Sometimes with the animations, I do love where, like, I'll give an example, like when um Jonathan Chiller is playing with his action figures, and what they literally did was they just took the asset of the the horror and just shrunk him down and just used that asset of the character as the the figure. So it's like that's this interesting like aspect of them just recycling certain aspects of like it makes sense, but it's just funny when you think about it. It's like a small miniature person. It's just like, yes, that's how we do it. So I think with that, I think that's about it as far as this update goes. I don't think there's much else we can talk about as far as I think we've kind of exhausted everything we can with this.
I'm still kind of peeved that Susie Snowflake didn't get an actual animation.
She'll come eventually. It'll come eventually. They're probably saving it for Christmas. I mean, I do like the fact that they did include her in there as an apology because we didn't have a Christmas update. They had a God whatever the hell that was. So, I mean, I'm glad they at least included her into something. But yeah, I'm kind of peeved too that there was no like. I wanted to see how she would react to like the big giant plushie, marketable plushie of the mutant. The mutant got turned into the plushie, or he turned into as the plushie, giant ass plushie. No one
Yeah,
would suspect me.
that's another thing. I mean, that's another thing I was kind of confused about. Like, why the mass mutant of all characters gets like a fucking large ass plushie in Horror Town?
Why not? Unless they're starting to do this thing where everybody's gonna get their own plushie version, so it's to be this giant ass plushie army. Like I know Snoopy has been doing this thing where they've been doing that as well. I mean, it makes sense for Snoopy because it's cutesy, but I don't know if they're gonna do that here as well. Get a plushie of
I just find it
Curly and
kind of
Rebel.
odd that it's the mass mutant first.
Yeah. Speaking of, before we end this part, because I don't think there's anything else you want to talk about with this one, right?
Mm,
Because we're
no,
basically,
I got
yeah,
nothing.
so we basically talked about everything else. We'll throw in one last thing here. The last deal they got going on. So for some reason we ended up finding out what it was, despite them not saying anything, because they busted the. By the way, I don't know how they did this, but for some reason all the four um quest lines for the mini requests were made available at the same time. And I feel like the whole Christmas update they had last time, I think would have went better if they did it like that, where you'd complete one set and then as soon as you come back in, log back in, it's like the next one's there, rather than oh wait, you missed out that 1 week. Oh, sorry, f you, you don't get to partake. Sorry. So I don't know if they ever do that. Hope they never do that again. But if they did, then I think the way they did that would probably be the best way to do it. But anyways, I digress. Let's roll it back. the the thing that ended up happening was we got to see all of them at once, and the last item that was shown there was the dog buster, the EDMF meter. And I didn't know what in context the hell this was, right? It's like, okay, so this was something, but it's like it's obviously supposed to be related to this update because it's like, oh, dogs were like their canines like werewolves, but no, then we find out what the context was as soon as the event was coming to an end, which was the Dogbuster, um, the thing, where basically they're implying that Drool opened up his own Ghostbuster like scene, and he's now busting ghosts. Because you got a statue of him, you got his little dogmobile, and one of the things I thought was funny was the fact that they had this like, oh, the State Park Marshmallow Man, but he's a giant bone. And one of the details with that item in particular that I actually do appreciate is that it looks like it's a solid item, but when I was interacting with it and moving it around, part of the top of it is transparent, so you actually get to see through items. So it's like, oh, so it's actually an actual ghost. So it's like a clever, So I don't know how they did that with the transparency with the item, but it's nice that they kind of have this whole solid but made it like a ghost type thing to sell the property. But this now tells me with the Chucky reference, the Gremlins with the Christmas thing, and then we got the Ghostbusters stuff. This guy obviously loves his horror movies, and it seems like we're going to get more horror movie references in the time being, whether that be items or not. So I hope you like horror movies too, because it seems like they're going to be doing that now.
Now I'm just more eager for Jason Voorhees with Camp Crystal Lake or any other camp update.
That's probably what they're going to be doing next when it comes to they ever
I
bring
just realized
the
I did the same thing you did.
the what do you call it, jelly jam in there. They'll be like, yeah, buddy, it's the hockey killer. God,
Hey
that'd be
guy, I'm gonna chop your limbs off.
with a big ass smile. God, oh, that would be
I just
creepy
realized
as
I
hell.
just did the same thing that you did.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Like I just realized like no, I realized I just did the same thing that you did.
Yeah, but yeah, I
Where I
do.
called Camp Cold Lake fucking Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah, again, there's a game called Cold Lake. We'll probably have that in there as well. Who cares? Well, yeah, everyone knows what we're talking about. It's a Goosebumps game, so it is Cold Lake in this universe. There's no Crystal Lake, a Cold Lake only. But yeah, no, so there's that. So I do find that interesting and all that type of stuff. So I think that's about it for now. I think there's not much else we can talk about here. So why don't we jump into our next discussion if you want?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so normally around this time we tend to talk about different subjects as well. So it's not just one book, it's usually two-ish kind of thing. And we try to keep it themed or close to a theme of some kind. And this time is no different because of the context of this episode. So let's talk about the Beast from the East, or as the game put it back then, Beast Beneath the Kitchen Sink. Or no, Beast Beneath the Sink, sorry. Not the kitchen. I don't know why the
Yeah,
kitchen.
it's just
We all understand what it was. I'm gonna say this. I really love the decoration of the they brought, because it's like you got this weird, funky Dr. Seuss exotic alien plant like thing in the Jim Jacobus drawn up with this weird koala looking creature, and they're like they put that into the actual game, and it's like it's really cool. They kind of make the beast from the east land, if that makes sense. So, and I did make context that we talked about from the last episode, where this is where the Warden House asset and the campgrounds, which is the camper, got converted into the next update, which was Monster Blood. So I just found that funny. But yeah, the Warden House got boarded up. I don't know why in the context of that, but I joked originally it was because of the Doreens that were featured in there. Which, by the way, when I was doing that review, I mean the gameplay, I did mention this, but I was curious, so I ended up looking at Doreens as a whole, and what I found from them is that they're popular. They're usually popular around the Philippines. I would say. I mean, there's probably other locations, but the Philippines most particular has this type of fruit. And from what I understand, this thing smells bad, like really bad. But it's supposed to have a unique taste. And one of the funny things is that I was watching a video talking about this, and one of the things that they mentioned that the taste is numbness. Like literally, the thing is like the taste is so strong that your tongue basically just gives up and it's like, no, I'm not taste no more. And you got this guy eating. It's like, oh, you can taste the numbness, right? And I was trying to look for that clip recently. And what's funny about it, someone also saw that, thought it was funny with the whole numbness thing. And they basically took that whole clip thing and put Linkin Park's Numb in the background. uh,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, this was the first event that actually came with the actual beast scene or the basement scene as as our prize. And this is where we got the context of like, oh, you can actually have two scenes of the same, but they can't be named the same, right? So the one on the promenade was the Wald's basement, and then this one was this the basement, which by the way is so like it's so interesting to see how they took context with this idea of the story and they just like adapted it to the book, right?
Yeah.
Because when you think basement, you think of the Stay Out of the Basement one with Brewer's clone, but no, not this one. The story is interesting this time around because they introduced both twins and they made Nat into a girl. So they're not
Right.
really identical twins. They're a certain they are technically twins, but there's a term for it where one is a different gender from the other, but they're both born the same time, if that makes sense. So it's a very rare
Yeah, I
thing
know
to
there
happen.
was a
Yeah. So it's interesting
yeah,
how, yeah. So I just find it interesting that they kind of did that because when they introduce twins in their other games, they add them as one character. So they're two characters as one walking together, right? But this time they're like, no, we're giving you two characters that basically do the same animations, except one does one interesting one, right? So Pat had the bat animation and Nat had the flying the kite one. But other than that, the other animations are basically the same as before, right? So it's interesting with the kind of aspect with that. And you get context with the whole, they got basically sold by Compton Dawes with this house that was basically, for some reason, this forest grew overnight because of the promenade, the horribleness of the poison lake. For some reason, the promenade just grew into this exotic forest. And, you know, this whole thing happened. And then the creature got moved in. I do appreciate, and one thing I do say is that I actually, before the game ended officially, I had contacts with the developer of the, not the developer, but the content director of the game, and we were able to help them when it comes to changing some of um, the dialogue. So I ended up actually helping out with the dialogue for this and the last one, which was the it came from the internet to try to fix some things up. So one of the things I ended up fixing was the introduction of the whole story because in the context of it they kind of mentioned from the past update, so it's like, all right, we'll make it its own separate thing, right? So
mhm.
making mentions of the ballistic bug type thing, yeah, or I said bugs this time, so there's more than just one, but yeah, to kind of like give reference to that stuff there. I did the color bears thing because, again, intent. I want them in the game, but I digress. But yeah, it's like one of the things that bothered me was you got this asset of Marty wearing a costume that looked like the Beast, and yet there was no explanation of where the hell did he get this from? Like, how the fuck did he get this item from, right? So then I thought,
Yeah.
why don't we make context of it? It's like, well, let's make them both stand out. Like they're twins, but they are unique from one another. So Nat maybe is the more creative type. So I like maybe she's the one who made the costume for him. And then the context of it's like, oh, well, Marty's a big guy. So maybe if he dressed up like a beast, the beast will look at him and go, oh, there's another one of me there. Let me go and say hi. You know, kind of like what the mod monsters did back then. It's just like, oh, I didn't notice you from here before. It's like, what the hell are you doing here? It's just like, oh wait, you're not one of me. All right, I'm gonna scare you now. No, but yeah, it's interesting that they kind of made an ass of that, but they didn't really explain it. And then for some reason, they had like a bunch of monsters go like, "Oh, Dustin's in my lair." It's like, what the fuck is this all about? Especially when you have Prince Karoo talking normally, like, no, like he talks like Neil Durf, Karoo, he just does certain words, right? He goes, "Arr," but no, he just talks English all of a sudden. That and for some reason the the Shaggy also speaks English, which I gave him a more a fancy accent because
It kind of reminds me of this one scene in Family Guy where the character Opie. I don't know if you're familiar with Family Guy or anything,
yes,
or
yeah.
okay. So there's this one character named Opie, right? I remember the scene. I don't know which episode it was, but there was a scene where Opie does his usual, and then when he's like
Yeah,
away from the public eye, he's just like, and he just like talks normally.
yeah.
Like I can imagine that like in the case with like Prince Poru.
They did
It's
that
just
same.
like he's supposed to sound like that, but like away from the public eye, he's just like,
They
oh,
they did
that
that
was
joke.
frustrating to
They
deal
did
with.
this. Yeah, they did the same joke in Family Guy when it comes to Helen Keller, where it's like behind closed doors, it's like talking like another teenage girl. I was like, yeah, man, can you believe that whole thing? And as soon as an adult comes in, he's like, and flips them off behind their back, and then she's like she's just pretending she's like blind and deaf, but no, she knows what she's doing. Yeah, so that the whole concept, I can only imagine that. It's just like, yeah, that's a funny idea to think about. Like, yeah, just secretly, he's just like he's able to speak English. Like, oh, hold on, there's some people here. Ah, yeah. So yeah, the whole story was, Frankenstein noises. So the story this time around was the fact that they tried to find Dustin because he decided to run off, and they thought, oh, the beast got him, but then no, he didn't. He was playing with it, and they tried to do this thing where they
His name
tried
is
to make
Timmy.
two books.
Timmy.
Yeah, like again, he calls him Timmy, but I'm like, how the hell do you know he's a
Timmy.
dude? Like, how do you know it's a dude? For all you know, it could be female, right? You don't know.
Timmy.
Yeah, it'd be funny. It'd be one of those things where it's like, yeah, his name's Timmy. It's like, but it's a girl. What? He's like, yeah, no, see, that's
Oh, so I should have
that's
called
a
you
male right there.
Tammy.
There's a giant ass. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, so that's funny. But yeah, so they had this weird thing where they were like, "Oh, we want to make it like Stitch." So see, like this beast creature can shrink and be cute like Stitch, but then it can be big like the monster. So there's this weird context with that, and also for some reason it meows. So okay, yeah, so it's a weird rat bear is what he was described as, right?
Yeah, with like weird little ups like from his elbow to his waist.
Yeah, I think the concepts of his design, I think, may have actually been based around the video game of Goosebumps the game, because at one point you do come across the Beast himself, and he kind of looks close to that design, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of based off of Jim Jacobus's like rough artwork of it, but it's mostly looking like that because that also had this rat bear look like appearance, right? And I found it funny too
So the
because
difference is that the I was
during
gonna
the
say the difference between that and the Goosebumps game version is that the Beast from the East in the or the Beast or I guess I should technically call Timmy. He actually has like a little rat tail thing going on, while the Beast from the game doesn't seem to have that
Yeah,
detail.
so I think they based, and I think I might be mistaken because this was back in 2020, and that happened to also be the year of the rat. So that might have been why they've added that there. Be like, connections.
Oh, that's an interesting little reference.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, because that's what I thought that's why they designed it like that, because it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks like the creature from the book kind of thing. Although I don't think he had a tail in the cover. I mean, I think what they did was they gave him a tail in the concept art back in the 90s because they had this whole thing where it's like, oh, let's draw some monsters, and it's just like, if you ever do promotions with the beast, this is what he looks like, you know. And I think that's when they added the tail there. But I'm trying to remember from the book if they did describe it as having a tail. I don't know, but you know, RL is a weird guy, as we've mentioned. So yeah, so the story was interesting enough. They did bring Crodby back a bit, kinda. He was just kind of there. Because it's like, oh well, St. Patrick's, so yeah, let's
Right.
have the troll guy there, of course. The one of the weirdest things about it too is that despite them trying to connect Beast from the East and the it came beneath the sink, it had nothing to do with it came beneath the sink. It was more Beast from the East,
Yeah, I find that kind of annoying that they didn't include anything from
which
beneath
I
the
was
sink.
annoyed with too, because I kind of threw out the idea because I was like, well, I mean, usually St. Patrick is about luck, and you know, I mean, what's bad luck? Well, I mean, this the gruel thing, so why not include it? So I don't know. I think he had a hard time trying to adapt that in there, but you know, that's for a moment. We're going to be talking about that in a minute, so just hold on a second. But yeah, it's weird to try to see how they would adapt that into the book. I mean, they got the art asset now with the book cover, so it's like, well, now we just need to have this in the game. But interesting enough, it is like I actually loved the story that they had going on, although it was kind of weird that they had this whole it's like I had to correct some things with the book when they came back as the Beast from the East, because at some point Curly had amnesia. When you if you had both the characters, it's like, what, there's two of them? It's like, well, you mean there's two of them? You know there's two of them, right? So I tried to make it interesting when trying to have them, you know, say the same thing but make it sound different at the same time, right? Like how Curly,
Yeah.
when it came to Pat, it's like, oh, did I forget to mention that Pat has a twin sister? Yeah, meet Nat, you know. And then when it came to Nat, it's just like, well, I guess she really is a Gemini, like her, you know. And then, yeah, Nat is more creative than her brother. Case in point, I'm gonna bring my bat Dory into the fray. It's like this kid has named his baseball bat by name. Now I'm officially scared. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though. I mean, I do like the characters twins. I do like the fact that the houses, by the way, are interesting enough that they're able to like they're like they're half houses, but then you connected them together and it's like, oh, it's a little four-leaf clover, you know, type of thing there. And they try, I guess, they try to make it seem like that they're Irish because it's like, ah, yeah, St. Patrick's, you know, their house is green. They're gingers. Yay! Yeah, but yeah, it's interesting. And I guess they also made them a little older than because in the books they were like kids, like younger than the main protagonist, most likely. So I think this time they're a little older this time around. But yeah, and I love I love Eric, who's like, oh, that's it, we'll do this or that, you know, like keeps on trying to come up with ideas and just like they don't work at all, right? Let's go beast ourselves. How? Are you always the great idea guy? But and there's not a whole lot else for this update. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's anything else interesting as far as when it comes to this update goes, because I think most of it's been kind of talked about a bit. I do like how they've had this whole update kind of come through and try to correct it when the book came out. Which one of the things I missed is that when there's an issue with a book, like we forgot to add something or we had a problem with something, and part of it too was because I had
Right.
involvement with this. It's sad that they try to bring these books back and they don't fix anything. Like they bring back, I'm trying to think of context. Like the newer books we get back as the special books, they don't change anything with the context of the whole thing. Like, oh, the promenades, like with the candy and all that. It's like, what you talk about? There's nothing there. like you don't, you know, like I give you a prime example. When the update hit with Be Afraid, they talked about how it was, oh, it's Independence Day, right? Well, when they came back as a book, they just said, they're using their patriotic thing of being voting, right? They basically wrote out the whole independence because it would be stupid to mention something that has no context because it's just the book itself, right? So either they're
Right.
lazy or they just don't want to do that, which is like annoys me because you're reading into it and it's like, oh, Halloween at Horrorland. It's just like, what do you mean? It's not even Halloween. It's past Halloween. Why not just say like Horrorland, Return to Horrorland? But no, can't be bothered. We can put new assets in the books, but nah. As far as when it comes to remaking them, nah. Just leave it as is. That's why I'm so excited when the bride comes into back in the book because I know goddamn well they're not gonna fix the problems that we had issues with. They're just gonna just leave it as is, and then they probably put one new item in there, and that's it.
Well,
Easy
I
as
don't
done.
exactly expect them to adapt from our ideas, honestly.
No, I'm not thinking like that. I mean, in the sense of like trying to change it slightly to make sense of it just standing as its own, right? Like a good example of this, and they mentioned this in the wiki, is that when Please Don't Feed the Vampires came out, when he was talking about Fifi, Curly's just like, I don't like dogs. But then later, when Drool got introduced, he's just like, nah, I'm not a fan of dogs, but Drew is okay. I like him. Because it would be kind of weird for him to say that, and it's like there's Drool, and it's just like, what the fuck, man? Your poor buddy over there. What the fuck is he? I do like how they mentioned Drool as a thing because it seemed like ever since that game came back, they just pretend as if he didn't exist. Like when he was introduced back in Halloween of 2020 for like the Chicken update as well as for the I'm trying to think. Yeah, the 12 Screams. They had him as his little co-host buddy, but then they're like, nah,
Yeah.
Slappy. Fuck him. I know he's free in the game, but nah. We'll give you an item. That's it. But maybe the fact that he has an item, maybe the devs will bring him back in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, I miss him as a co-host because he was fun. But nah, again, they're gonna have to have Slappy in there. I can't wait to talk about Bride because oh god, there's so much to talk about with that. But yeah, guess we're coming off topic here. I don't think there's anything else to talk about when it comes to Beast per se, and unless I'm forgetting something. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we've exhausted at this point. But yeah, no, Beast is pretty much explanatory from what its own, and yeah, it's basically just
Yeah, I got it.
yeah, it's a good enough because we don't want to make this episode long enough because now comes the fun part, right? Now comes the
Yeah.
fun part. So, talking about it came beneath the not the kitchen sink. What's wrong? Why do I always go back? You know what it is? It's because they
I mean,
found it in the kitchen sink. That's why. So, I mean, it sounds more better. No, wait. Didn't it originally actually was called it came beneath the kitchen sink, but then it was like, nah, it just came beneath the sink.
no,
I think that's what it was.
no,
I don't know, but
I
anyway.
don't think it. No, I honestly don't think it was anything other than it came from beneath the sink.
No, but I'm sure it was
Because
named.
adding
It
the
was
word kitchen in
renamed
it
that
just
because if
seems
you looked at like in the wiki, it was like when it was advertising it, it was I think it was previously called "It Came Beneath the Kitchen Sink," and then they just took the kitchen thing out, and there was just like, nah, it just came beneath the sink. It sounds better. But anyways, yeah, no, as you can pretty much tell what this episode's based off of, if you didn't get the not the joke, but if I guess technically it's a
the
joke,
gist.
the end bit with Squidward blowing up because he ate too much Krabby Patties. Yeah, we're talking about it came beneath the sink. Yeah, the update that they failed to do, I've decided to take my hand on and try to make sense of the damn thing. And boy, do I have to tell you, was it a hard one to think about. Here I was thinking, like, I had ideas for it, and then I'm like, fuck. I don't have ideas for this. I thought I did, but I don't. But no, I was gonna come in here kind of going I want to go half-ass on it and be like, hey, here's my story, boom. I'm not proud of it, but then I'm like, I kid you not, last night I was just working away, and immediately I'm like, I got it. I got the story. I got everything. It perfectly lines everything in what I wanted to do. It fits well. I'm glad. I'm happy. So
Uh,
yes, I'm going to be talking about and
one
try.
thing I wanted to
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say there's one thing I did want to chime in before you started. So I took a look at the thing that you mentioned about it came from beneath the sink having a different name.
Yep.
It did, but the word kitchen was never used. It actually was once called "It Came from Under the Sink," and then the
Okay.
final published title changes the word "under" to "beneath."
Okay. But still, they found the damn
All right,
gruel
now
underneath
you
the
can
kitchen.
continue.
They found it in the kitchen, for God's sakes. Hell, in the game, you find the gruel under the kitchen sink. So, excuse me. Excuse me. All right. I'm going to be uncorrecting with that. So just know that I
Yeah.
don't mean it like that. But it's just like, whatever. But yeah, we're going to be talking about this. So now it's my turn to tell the story. And, Vampire is going to be critiquing on me and seeing if I've done good or not. So, God help me. But we're going to try our best and try to.
Okay, so before you start, I do have like a list of things here that we're gonna go over.
Oh
Like for
boy.
example, starting with special buildings, suppliers,
I got my
currency,
own
decorations,
notes.
items.
Yes, I got my own notes. I got all this stuff here. Animations, though,
All
I'm
right.
not going to do. We didn't do that last time. We didn't do that before. So, use your imagination what you think you would want to add there.
Well, I did kind of add a few animations into my idea for comic shop of horrors.
Yeah, I know that. I didn't do that. I mean, I kind of did with mine, but at some point, I was just like, I'm just talking about the story and all that stuff. Items, I'm kind of lighting on. It's just like, I'm going to tell you what I have, and then we can fill out the whole thing as we go. Now, one of the interesting things about this concept here was I always try to bring something new into the table. One of the problems of this current update is that there's no free character now. The characters you get, you have to pay through the special key monster pass. So I
Yeah.
decided to do something that was once done before, but probably will never get done before. In fact, I feel like as soon as I introduce this idea to Pixel, I'll be like, here's my idea for It Came Beneath the Sink. It's going to be that scene from American Psycho where it's like, that's not possible. It's like,
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
yeah, yeah, like that's literally what's going to be. But basically, we're going to introduce to two characters. One you get during the free pass, and then, of course, the one character you get at the end of the paid pass. And the reason for this is because it's not just this book I'm adapting. There's another one getting added. And that one is an interesting choice. I'll explain my reasonings about it later, but I had to figure out how the hell to make this into a story because the whole premise of it is there's a creature called a gruel, which is a sponge, and what it does is that it kind of leeches your off of you, like kind of drains you over time. And during this time, you get bad luck and it kind of like miserable in a sense, right? So this thing is just feeds on negativity, and to combat
It's
this,
self-sufficient.
yeah. So to combat this, you would have to give it love, and in the story, it does to the point where it starts to shrink and then it blows up. Hence why I used the joke with Squidward blowing up because they're like, "Oh, SpongeBob is sponge," So that was my
Oh,
reasoning.
I forgot about that little detail, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, I remember. I was talking about that. Like, oh, hold on, Grim. I'm gonna come here and butt in. Yeah, thanks for that. But yeah, so context of that, now you know. But yeah, so we're going to go through this and I'm going to talk about each of these things together. So the characters we're going to introduce, the free character you're going to get is Katrina Cat Merton or Merton. I think that's her name, last name.
I think it would just be better to call her Cat, honestly.
I'm just going to call it Cat. Screw it. Yeah, Cat as in K, not like cat like CK. It's CAK. But,
Because you can spell.
yeah, I know how to
Don't you
spell
mean
properly.
CAT?
Yeah, that's stop it. God, here we go again. All right. Anyways, yeah, this will probably be the case where we're just going to refer to a cat because there's another Katrina character that might come in the future that I have a feeling that you're going to be working on, which probably
Yes,
know what it is.
I've
So we're
actually been
not going to
working
talk about
diligently
that
on
right
one.
now, but just know there is another Katrina down the line if we do get to
Yeah,
that. But anyways, so
I've been working on a lot of the different
yeah,
ideas
I
I have
know,
here,
I
but
know. So, Cat is our free character you're gonna get in the prize pack. So, during after your second quest, you're gonna unlock her, and I'll talk about how that goes about. But you might be curious about who the premium character in this time around. Who's the antagonist of this whole case? Well, that would be Keith. And if you don't know who Keith is, Keith comes from I Live in Your Basement. So yes, it's a double feature, just like what happened with the when it came before it came Beneath the Sink and Beast from the East. But this time I tried to make sense of the damn thing, and I'll explain why. So Keith's whole story is that he's a weird blob, disgusting creature that for some reason just lives in people's basements and they want them to take care of him. That's his whole thing, right? And he freaks people out. He can basically form himself as a person, but he can't hold that form for such a long time, from what I understand from the story.
which is
So
why he vomits and download and die.
yes. So my concept of Keith is that he's going to be dressed up kind of like how he's shown in Download and Die, except he's also going to be wearing a exterminator suit in the sense of like something you would
A
see.
hazmat, if you
A
will.
hazmat, yes, like a hazmat suit of sorts, right? But you would see them as like exterminators, like people who spray pesticides or something like that, that kind of thing. And the reason for that is because in case he decides he can't hold his form anymore, he can just zip up, barf inside his costume, and he stays in his costume form, but a weird blood month. you know, that's the premise of the whole thing, right? Those are the two characters you're going to get. And I'll explain why Keith is involved in this in a moment, because this is how I brought bring my big brain into this, trying to think of the process of it. So the crafting shop in this event is going to be Peepo's Plumbing. And if you don't know who
People.
Peepo is referring to, if you remember back in the Valentine at Poison Lake, when she was talking to the mayor, Johnson was talking to somebody over the phone, and there was Mr. Peepo. So obviously, Mr. Peepo is in the plumbing business, or at least knows when it comes to water, you know, because he was responsible for
Water
flooding.
maintenance.
Yeah, he was responsible for flooding the lake. So obviously, he would know context of working within that environment of like plumbing and sewers and stuff like that nature. So I thought, why not bring a familiar name into the lore of this whole thing, right? The lore, yeah. Oh, the lore. I still love using that. I'm gonna use that clip every time I get with bringing lore. That one meme with Markiplier. Oh, the lore. Anyways, so there's that. The event currency this time around is actually going to be called Bad Luck Charms, and you might be curious what that is. Now, fortunately for me, Adams has recently done an update called Misfortune and Jinx. And it's a long story, but needless to say, this whole update's based on bad luck, where their other game Snoopy is on good luck. So they kind of have this yin yang type of thing. But one of the items they happen to have, a crafting item, is called Bad Luck Charm. So this is going to be that, but this repurpose. So they basically just copy this asset and just put it into the game. So it's like, there you go. And what it is, it's a chain with stuff like an umbrella, the number 13, black cat, like things like you would see bad luck, and there's kind of a little charm about that, right? And the phone.
Oh, you know what would have been really cool? It kind of looks like a fucking breakfast cereal, but instead of like all the
Oh, like the
regular
bad
fucking
luck,
Lucky
yeah,
Charm marshmallows,
like
it's
what
just
happened
like,
with
yeah,
Good Mythical Morning, where they had the bad luck charms. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be something. We could
But
probably
instead of
do.
calling it
Yeah, we could
but
do
instead of
that.
calling it
Sorry,
bad luck charms, it would just be unlucky charms.
unlucky charms. Yeah, we just do something like that, right? Why not? Let's have fun with it. The items in question you grab or grabbing the raw items are going to be sponges. There's normal sponges like you'd grab, right? Makes sense for the context of this whole thing. So
Wait, the sponges are the raw currency? Or the
yes,
raw crafting item
yeah,
thing?
the items you're gonna get a lot of.
Okay. So
Yeah.
it's just sponges.
So the
Okay.
the 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 event currency, the items that fills the funny number, that's bad luck charms.
Or unlucky charms.
Yeah, the unlucky charms. Yeah. Anyways, so there's that. So the items I have available, I'm going to be using the style that I had before with my with the update I did back for episode 2 or episode 1 of the with the Cuckoo Clock of Doom, where basically just 2 items and free, that kind of concept where there's one giant item at the end.
Right. So
So one
what
item.
exactly is the supplier for the sponges?
So the sponges, there's items. The first raw item you can grab is or craft into is the mouse trap, which is a normal mouse trap, right? Then
Wait, that's not the question I'm asking.
what? What's the
I said,
problem
what
there?
is the supplier? What is the supplier that drops the sponges?
I'm gonna get to there. So the problem. Okay, fine. I'll do that now. The promenade supplier is gonna be the main sewer drain, which is going to be a I'm trying to think what it is, but you know how when you go into like certain lands that there's like this big open like sewer drain type thing where it's like able to walk in, but they kind of have it gated off, and it's just like it's almost like a water drain or something like like I'm trying to think of what the proper term of it is, but you've seen it before in in real life and in media, right? Like you know what I'm talking about?
You mean something similar to like a pipe tunnel of sorts?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
what you mean.
so it'd be a main sewer drain type of thing. So that's going to be on the promenade. That's going to be where you get the raw item from there. The suppliers, the items that you're going to get multiple of and buying is called Crosby's Brew. And what this thing is I'm going to take, again, using assets from different games and whatnot, but there is an item in the Dead Her Oasis where it was basically this weird kind of like barrel that's able to fill out with like liquid, with like green, like I guess green beer of sorts. So I thought that'd be something of
Green
that
beer.
case, but it'd be actual, like an actual barrel sort, like an actual keg barrel of sorts. And the
Yeah.
reason why it's
And
Crosby's
you keep
Brew,
calling him Crosby, even though his name is Cronby.
Crosby, yeah, whatever, Crosby, Crosby, the same thing, except one has an S and the other one has an N. Okay, Crosby, Gronby. What you
You
know
don't
what
want
I'm
to.
talking about?
You don't want to
The,
accidentally end up calling
the
him
fucking
Crosby.
troll,
So
the troll trying to pretend to be a leprechaun. That guy.
we don't want to
It's
accidentally
Brew.
call him Cosby.
Yeah, whatever. You're ruining this whole thing for me, damn it. But yeah, no, let's
How
keep
am I
on.
ruining it?
Let's go. Keep going. We're not stalling. Yeah, so it's gonna be a keg basically. Okay, it's a keg, and this is where it's gonna be where you get the
Yeah.
sponges and the explaining of why with Gronby, um, is gonna talk about later on down the line. So don't worry, there's context for this. Right. So, anyways, so the crafting where you get from Peepo's plumbing. So the first item you can craft is mousetrap, right?
Mhm.
So the other one, the second one, is going to be poisonous gas, and the concept of poisonous gas is, I think, is kind of like how it's kind of like a bug spray of sorts, but it's kind of like almost like a gas grenade of sorts, right?
Isn't it supposed to be like a large canister full of pesticide?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was thinking. But I was trying to make it different from what we have in the game because I know we had something similar to that, like it came from the internet that they had this bug spray of sorts. So I didn't want to make it like that, but kind of like something similar.
Well, that's why I said large canister, not like a little
Yeah,
spray can.
yeah. So yeah, a large canister of sorts. So there's that. So then you take that, the mousetrap poisonous gas, and then the sponge to make a gruel trap. I have no idea how the hell I'm gonna make this. I'm assuming it's. I'm trying to think visually what the hell a gruel trap is, but I thought, well, we need to have a gruel, so I was like, how can we make a trap of gruel? So I'm trying to think what would be a good representation of that.
Oh, is it possible to craft a gruel or maybe even a lynx?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
You're getting ahead of yourself, but yes.
Well, I'm just asking questions.
I know you're asking questions. You ask questions when I'm done with it. Then if I don't mention them and then be like, wait a minute, hold on a second, then you can do that.
Well, I need to ask questions in the moment, otherwise I'll forget.
Well, like, do you think that helped me? Maybe I forget, like what happened earlier. Anyways, continuing on. So the other item you craft is dish soap, right?
Makes sense.
Then you get potatoes for the other one,
Yes.
right? So you take dish soap,
Wait,
potatoes, and sponges to make a lynx.
wait. I thought potatoes were already a thing in the game.
No, they're not. There is no potatoes.
Yes, there is.
No, there's not. When are there
Yeah,
potatoes?
in the chicken update. You don't remember? There's potatoes
Ah,
in that one.
fuck. Fine. What can I replace with the stupid potato? Because I forgot. Blame me, okay? All right. So we can't use potatoes. So what can we replace with potatoes?
Uh, well, technically, we could do poisoned potato.
Okay,
We could just pull them.
yeah, rotten potatoes. How about that?
Yeah,
Rotten potatoes. Dish soap makes a lynx. Makes sense.
but
Okay.
question:
Hmm.
why dish soap?
Because you wash the potatoes.
And that makes a vampire potato?
Yes. Because you're thinking of making like the potato is like you think it's a potato, so you're trying to clean it, and then all of a sudden it's like, and you're like, oh shit, it's a lynx. It's actually a lynx. So it's like you're revealing what it is.
Are we just doing the fucking ancient dust prune shit
No,
again?
no, 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 no. Like when you get when you get the rotten potato or whatnot, it's gonna be like covered in mud and whatnot. Like you're actually taking it from the dirt. So you're washing it off, thinking it's a potato, but it's not. It's a lynx.
Okay.
I mean, what else do you want me to say? I can't do water.
Ooh, no.
No,
But
see?
I expected, like, I don't know, maybe fucking vampiric teeth or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, the lynx is gonna look like a vampire teeth and all that, so or it looks like a monster face. I don't know. But anyways, then you get gruels, but you get gruels from the seed, right? Which I'll explain in a minute.
Yeah.
So you get that. So then you have the gruel, you have the lynx, and then you have the gruel trap, and it all together makes a lynx trap.
Okay.
And that's my crafting items. I have no idea what a gruel trap or a lynx trap is,
Okay.
but
So, out of curiosity, are there going to be any like items that are associated with "I live in your basement," or is this all just beneath the
it's
sink
mainly
stuff?
focused on the because the book is going to be heavily based off of It Came Beneath the Sink. I think I was going to have I was going to have I Live in Your Basement be featured as his own little special book alongside Keith when you unlock them.
Okay.
Because there's not really any items I could say that is associated with that. Like, because the problem with what I Live in Your Basement is that it has an interesting villain character, but that's about it. Anything else about it doesn't really happen so much. There's not really items you can take from it because it's basically an in-house story of kind of like this. Oh, I think there's something. I'm hearing monsters, but there's nothing there. And my mom's saying that I got hit in the head too hard, and now I'm hearing this voice telling me that I have to take care of it. And it turned out it was a dream, but not really.
Right.
So it's one of those cool character, but story is shit. You can't adapt it into the game. Sorry. So that's why I've decided to merge them into this. And I'll explain why. But the
Okay.
the scene in question is it's a bug. I call it Bugs Be Gone, but it's a generic exterminator type building, right? I'm sure he could look cool with like a dead roach or like a roach or something like that. You know what I mean? I'm sure I can find a picture of it or something.
Or 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 you can do the awesome ants approach.
What concept?
Like, you know how in the episode of Awesome Ants they have like the little exterminator truck that has like a dead ant or like a little uh
Yeah, like
ant model on it that
you mean
look
like Dale
that
Gribbles' car or van?
well kind of, but the difference is that's supposed to be like well actually yeah something like Dale Gribble's car.
There we go. We have a reference for it. That's the Bugs Be Gone building. It's a van. All right.
Yeah, they
The
just look like a fucking
so of
ant
course
killed over its eye.
yeah. So of course you get Monster Keith, but that comes with the Bugs Be Gone final scene type thing you unlock near the end. I have no idea what the hell they will call it, but we'll leave it to them. They'll deal with it. But the characters you spawn from it is exterminators. Now, the purpose of this, idea wise, is supposed to be generic kind of characters that look like they're supposed to be Keith, like masked, but they're carrying a box of gruels. So the idea of when they're scaring people is they're throwing them at people, like literally going ahead and just like, throwing it at people. Because how can you make an inanimate object monster? You can't really because it can't walk, it can't roll. It's just it's like a sponge, right? So how can you make a sponge scary? Well, you have a box full of them and you throw it at people.
It's like sponges.
Monster sponge getting stuck
Are you
on
scared of
like
sponges? Well, surprise!
it's like that. It's like that scene from Monsters
And you just
University.
have like
You know that Monsters University, how they have those weird balls that
oh
kind of like stick onto you type thing? Yeah, it's like that's like the rules. You just throw it at people and they get stuck on, and then the little vampire teeth that sticks on you and sucks you dry like little vampires,
oh
leeches that they are.
yeah, and you should have like one of the characters be the most unique one because instead of like rolls, he just throws lances.
Or a robot, yeah.
It's
He
like
could be like a
potatoes.
little robot. He could have a little robot guy, a little robot fella, like a little robot kind of throwing like potato. I thought the potato, like the
Wait a
potato.
minute. Wait a minute.
Oh, he has an idea.
Okay, are the exterminator? Yeah. Okay, so you said what did the exterminators look like again?
They, I guess, kind of. I didn't have a real image of an exterminator per se. It could be anything really, but I want to hear what what you're thinking.
Okay, okay. My idea is that Keith built robots, humanoid robots, to do his dirty work.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He sounds like
Yeah,
the
so
type
that
who
way he
does
can
that.
be that. Yeah, that way he can do like his doings like, on multiple places at
And they're not good
once.
robots. They're
Just have like a
crappy.
whole
They're
bunch of
crappy.
robots.
They're crappy robots. So they're not
Yeah,
like
it looks like the ones that are just like assorted junk.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. It's like he purposely made he made something. It's like the whole what is my purpose? You pass butter type thing, where it's like that's your purpose. You throw what's my purpose? You throw rules at people.
He
Oh
throws
my god.
sponges.
Yeah, welcome to my life, buddy.
Yeah, he just like digs his hand into a box, throws a sponge,
Or
just
like a
like
little
goes to the
conveyor
next
belt
person.
where it's kind of like it froze, like you know what I mean, and it kind of does its thing, and like you know. So yeah, like definitely I could see something like that, and then we can have maybe one unique one
Yeah,
that just froze links. It's like a different recolor, right? But
yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm thinking of
Like
right
I
there.
can see Keith as being like a genius, but like incredibly lazy. You know?
He is. He's a definition of sloth,
Yeah,
and
he's a
there's
genius, but he's lazy.
yeah. He wants people to take care of him. What
I
do you
think.
expect? Like take care of
Yeah,
me like a
he
baby. I'll
just
live in your basement. You take care of me. That's my purpose. I'll get to the story in a minute, but that's his whole reasoning behind everything. It's just like I'll get to there, but yeah, no, that's the idea. So maybe if you want to design them, I can show them off. If not, then I'll try to show something off during this time. But yeah, but I'll leave it up to you. That and the characters. If you draw any of them, I'll show them off. Other than that, I'll work with what I got as usual. But anyways, I guess we get to the story now, right? Unless there's anything else.
no, there's also still decorations.
Yeah, decorations. I didn't get I was having a hard time trying to get a hand of that. What I found with decorations, though, with with how they do it in game is that whatever the story has involvement with, they try to kind of incorporate that into the game. So usually I would say that it would fit. I'm like that's usually my weak point. Like I'm trying to think what would be good decoration wise, as far as like what would be good to put besides decorating the promenade and whatnot, right?
Right.
Because I'm also trying to think what we have
Right.
in game already and what we can associate and what because again, it's kind of hard to kind of do an event like this because it's a concept story with not with the monster literally being an object, right? So it's like I guess you can make the items associated with Keith as well, like the I live in your basement type stuff. I'm sure you can probably have some fun with that while as well as adding
And
stuff.
then make the Bugs Be Gone van or something.
Yeah, that's gonna be like this. Like either we can have that be the scene itself because it's like the little robots coming from the van itself, or we can actually have,
Yeah, it's true.
or we can actually have his, we can have his little like little workshop too, maybe like as a little building decoration. So that's possible.
Yeah.
So we can
Okay.
we can do
So
stuff like that. So yeah, so it gives you kind of
so I
concept.
guess the last thing to do is the story.
Yeah. So let's go ahead with the story. So as usual,
All right.
I'll go a little bit of beat. I'll try to explain the story, kind of have a little stuff there, but then also like again, I'll try my best because I did thought of this, but again, the concept of it not fully there. But anyways, story starts. Curly introduces as usual, right? He's like, St. Patrick's Day, He-Man,
Yeah.
Gressel Greystone.
He-Man.
I'm sorry, but that's how I do my Curly
I
voice.
have the
But I
power
deepen the
now,
voice.
He-Man.
Yeah, I deepen the voice, but that's the voice. It's to go, you know, that you can skeleton guy. You have to do it like that. I'm sorry. That's just the rule now. But anyways, he's
Yeah,
just like,
that's a rule of fictitious characters.
yeah. So it's like, St. Patrick's Day. You know, it's because again, this is basically focusing on luck. Because it's like, you know, kind of the whole thing is just like, St. Patrick's Day, the day where people drink alcohol or they root beers, I guess, and then you know, Boy Green, Ross Crosby might do more than just pinch you. But the other important part of St. Patrick's Day is about luck, and at some point, the city actually had an infestation at some point of some bad luck and bad mojo, bad juju. You know, I guess we're gonna find out why or how that came to be, right? So then it goes into the quest, like you know, quest line type thing. So then after that, going after the quest line, which is basically just put Crosby's stupid thing down and collect the sponge from it, right? That's usually how it works. So, anyways, you go to Mrs. Dark, right? And she's like, I came back from the groceries, or she's doing something, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, she's like, here's a knock at the door. Who is that? I open it up. It's Keith. He's just like, I work for the city, and I'm here to inspect your he's having problems. I can tell he can
Yeah,
also be sleepy.
he's like drifting into space.
That's his problem. I
It's
can
like,
totally because in the download and die, he looked like he was tired, right? So I'm just trying to act the role. So he's just like, you know, I'm here to do
it's just
your
like I'm here
check
to like get
your
rid of shit or whatever.
plumbing for infestations. Do you have a basement by chance? Right? And he's just like, yeah, I do. And more or less saying, okay, good. Let me just inspect. So he goes in the house and it's just like, I'm an inspector, right? I work for the city. I work for a city. I'm here to inspect for free, by the way. So this is don't worry. No worries, right? So he goes in there, investigates. He goes like, it's a nice little place. Yeah, I like this basement. Okay, here's my plan. So I go in the little kitchen. I go in the sink, open it up, throw a gruel in there, close the door. He's like, all right, everything looks good to go. If you do come across anything weird or anything bad or anything like that, just give me a call. Give me my number here. Yeah, just do that, and there you go. Bye bye. And he leaves. Right. So it sets up the idea that he's putting rules in people's houses for some reason. Right. You don't know why, unless you read the book and you know exactly what he's doing. But anyways, then we get to the next quest. So Lucy and Dustin are walking over to see Courtney because Courtney is currently not. Is it Court? Yeah, Courtney. So Courtney's currently talking to a new girl that just moved into town, right? And they're like, "Oh, we're gonna meet the new girl," right? Then the quest kind of does that kind of stuff, like they kind of bicker and all. I think I've been trying to
Right.
think too, like it'd probably be something along the lines of like mentioning St. Patrick's Day or something like that in that context, but whatever. But anyways,
Right.
you get to that, right? And you hit basically it's like, oh, welcome Kate Cat into the fray, right? So it's just
Yeah.
basically like kind of like how the previous updates were before, with Return to Horrorland when you had to put down her building, right? So it's the same kind of concept here. So the animations associated with the free pass is going to be close to associations for exclusively for uh, cat, because again you're getting her
Yeah.
for free, so this is the way of doing that. So no characters are going to have their own animations this time. Sorry, it's getting two characters, you're getting one for free. This is the sacrifice. So deal with it. But anyways, so we got that going on here. So then we get to after the quest line, you get Courtney and Kat talking to one another, right? Like they're basically get an introduction to who Kat is. And you might be thinking, all right, so how is Kat as a character, right? Well, I can't say for certain exactly like how they're gonna do this per se, but I'll give you a rough.
Right.
But I had an interesting archetype for a character I wanted to add into the game of some sort that it's funny thinking about, but I don't know how they're going to do this. But I'll give you an example. When the internet found out about Sword and Shield, they, like when that game was about to come out, they saw, oh, this is the area it's coming out in, and here's the Pokemon. And it's like, oh, it's like jolly old England, like so basically it's like UK stuff, right? So it's just typical type things.
Yeah.
And usually around this time, they go ahead and just kind of see the new update as far as characters and whatnot goes, as far as like new uh like they show everything off. Like here's your starter Pokemon they're gonna get, like the fire, water, or grass Pokemon. And then they're like, here's the male character and here's the female character. As soon as everyone saw the female character, the internet basically all agreed and went Scottish. She's Scottish, and not only is she Scottish, but she's the most Scottish lass you can think of. She swears, she drinks, she plays the bagpipes. And everyone just rolled with it. They just had comics a lot where it's like, oh, whoa, what a nice little girl. What the fuck are you looking at, you sweet cunt? You want to go out by what? It's like, oh no, she's Scottish. It's like, I can't understand what you're talking about. Like, the thick accent and everything like that. Or, why the fuck do Pokemon talk about you getting strong at you as if the weak cunt's gonna be like, I'm on spot on, I'm on the next PC. But yeah, no, I had fun with that type of stuff. Yeah. So I wanted a character like that in the game of some kind, because we don't really have, like, we had an example of a Scottish character kind of with the inflatable gargoyle. So they can write a Scottish character as far as the mannerisms go, so it's possible. But I know because this game is for kids, we can't have them do the swears and like all that type of stuff. So it's like, oh darn, we gotta have a, a neutered version, right? So I'm like, all right, well, how can we? Well, I mean, it is right. You can't have the swearing types. So it's like, all right, here you go. Here's the best we can do. Here's your Sky's last, but not as what you think. So I was like, okay, well, how can I play around with the idea of having something of that sort, like a character like that, but also fits kind of snugly as far as making it for kiddies, right? So I came up with an
Yeah.
idea of how I'm going to go about this. So, anyways, Lucy and the new girl are talking. So it's like, you're from Scotland. It's like, yeah. It's like, oh yeah. No, that sounds like I'm from fucking Sweden. It's like from Sweden. No, God, I'm
I
trying to think
come
of
from
good
the
Scots.
Sweden, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, but
Yeah.
you can. They've
Yeah.
had ways of making people talk like they're having the accents, like with Ellie, or I was about to say Doofenshmirtz, but no, with Frederick, with them being German, they have the whole yeah, like they have them talking certain ways, or even with Dr. Bronstein with some of his Australian accent there, kind of, right?
Oh, he's supposed to be Australian.
Yeah, some of the words he has, right? It's basically slang in Australian.
Oh, I always thought he was more of like just sounding a little bit like fucking Rick Sanchez.
Yeah, yeah, no, he kind of looks like him.
We gotta create the spider.
He kind
We
of
gotta create
looks.
the spider so he can take over the world
Yeah, yeah.
and
Like
fulfill my
I'm
dreams.
evil. I'm evil, Mark. I'm evil. That's why I made it. It's
I'm
hilarious.
evil, Mark.
I'm evil, Mark. I love that joke that he made. It's like, yeah, take it away,
We
Mark.
don't
It's
have a whole lot of time, Mark.
real. Yeah, no, I love the fact that because he kind of does look like. I mean, especially one of his animations. But we're getting off topic here. But anyways, yeah. So
Yeah.
they have ways of making characters talk in certain ways. Like another good example of this. This is off topic from a game, but you're familiar with Disney's Magic Kingdoms, right? I
Yes, I
think
used to play that game a lot.
we've talked about this before. So last Christmas that passed, they introduced the Muppets into the game. And one of the characters they introduced as a premium character was the Swedish Chef. So I was like, how the hell do you get people to talk like the Swedish Chef? They found a way. They had the words speaking so that you can go, oh, shirty frog, you go to booty. So they actually made it, the typing words made it so that you actually make him talk like him, like talk like Swedish Chef. It's like, make the Swedish Chef talk to the firmly, like they say it like that. So it's like, that's clever. I love that. It's like, oh, sure, Froggy, I'll do the filmy film. It's like, that's perfect. I love it. So yes, you can have people talk in accents. Although I think it works in English, I'm not sure about other languages. It might lose in translation there. So, I don't know.
Oh yeah, because I can imagine like in translations he just like talks normally like in the Family
Yeah.
Guy skit where he just like talks normally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, like, hey, I can make some food. It's like, yeah, yeah, you do that. Oh, good, I'm gonna do that. Waka waka what? Funny ass joke. Yeah, we're funny
Joke.
Muppets. Yeah. Anyways, we're getting off topic here, but yeah, the long story of it, Kat has an accent, right? She has a Scottish accent, make people talk like Scottish, right? So talking a little bit about it, like she came from Scotland, moved into town because reasons, right? And then here comes the kids, right? So Courtney goes and, oh, hey, Lucy, let me introduce you to Kat here, right? And as soon as she's doing this, Dustin starts looking weird. Like he's like, like, okay, like this is odd, right? And of course, she
Yeah,
goes ahead, looks at him, and is like, what are you looking at? Like in this weird, like, almost like this aggressive tone, right? And then he's like,
yeah.
I gotta go, you know, he leaves. And then she's like, that's weird. Like, you don't have to be rude like that, right? And this is where the interesting aspect of it comes from. So I know you are a nerd when it comes to anime stuff, right? Because your style
Yeah,
kind of has that kind of thing to it. But I'm going to talk
yeah.
as if I'm going to talk to the player, the viewer, the listener, whoever was doing this, um, as if they don't know, right? So, are you familiar with Danganronpa?
Dr. Rampa.
Danganronpa.
Oh, Dankaramba.
Yeah.
I am familiar with it, but I don't know a whole bunch of it.
Okay.
I
So
only like
the
as far as my knowledge of it goes, I only know the fucking bear.
okay. Well, it's okay. This is not going to work well then. I'll explain myself, but I'll go ahead. Okay. So in Danganronpa, the premise of, I'll talk briefly about it. So the premise of it is it's a visual novel game of sorts where it's basically a lot of reading, but then there's some interaction where you get to like use your little thing, or like, ooh, click on buttons, like you shoot little eject. It's kind of like if Ace Attorney and Saw meets together, almost, right? Because
I was
this
gonna say Corpse Party, but
Corpse Party too, yeah, that would make sense. But the whole
because
elimination
I
time
remember,
has this weird Saw-esque to it.
yeah,
It's like, oh well, punishment time. It's like, what punishment time? It's just like, oh god, this weird elaborate type of like, oh, you like sports? Well, here's a thing where the balls are gonna hit you to death. It's like, what the fuck? But yeah, anyways, that's the fun part about the game. This wackiness. It's like, ooh, despair and all that. But anyways, I'm not gonna get a long topic, but there's the third in the series, B.3, and there's a reason why it's called that, but it's the third in the trilogy. In there are certain characters, and there's one character in particular. I'm trying to think of what her name is, but I'm probably gonna try to show a picture of her. But she is someone with a green bow on her head, and I think it's almost like she looks like a ninja of sorts, right? But she hates
right?
men. She's okay when it comes to
Oh
females.
god,
Females, she's fine with, but when it comes to guys, she's a little aggressive with.
she's a misandrist. Fun.
That's a concept with Cat in a sense. She is not comfortable with
Oh
when it
no,
comes
she's
to
a
guys.
misandrist too. Oh.
Yeah, but the way how can I do the whole aggressive Scottish type last type thing while trying to make it PG? So it's like, all right, she doesn't like guys.
Well, be aggressive to everyone. Why does it have to be one sex?
But she wants to be pissed off to everybody. It's like, what the fuck? No. I mean, she's trying to be. How can you include somebody who's aggressive to everybody? It's like, you're fine. Taking my story around for a ride. No, I'm not the problem anymore. Anyways, I don't know. I'm trying my best here. But yeah, the reason Dustin was acting weird was because he was starting to fall for this girl. I don't know what it is, but he started to fall for her. It kind of like what happened with Marty and I'm trying to think what her name was. The robot girl. I know it starts with E.
Oh, Aaron.
Aaron. Aaron?
Aaron.
Aaron, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Aaron.
like him and Aaron, right? Before he finds out that he was a robot. But even that, that same kind of concept. It's like, what is this feeling I'm feeling? I'm obviously sick. I'm not in love. No. Because he's still a kid. He doesn't want to believe that he's going through that stage, right?
Love
He
is for
found his funny.
sickos. Wait, I'm sick. That means I'm a sicko.
Yeah.
Comes
Yeah, yeah.
that weird
Love
rationale.
sick. Yeah. No. So the concept, that's why he was acting weird, and that's why she was kind of aggressive to him. He's like, well, why are you looking at, because, he's looking at her funny, right? Not knowing the context of why, and he doesn't even know why, but he just runs off because he's like, I'm out of, his fight and flight reflex hit, right? So there you go. So yeah, then the quest starts, then the quest ends, then the kids see Mrs. Dark. It's like, oh hi, like, oh, that's Mrs. Dark. Hi, Mrs. Dark, and she's acting funny. She's acting depressed. She acted depressed, and she's like, oh darn, like she seemed like she's at like down on her luck, right? And while
Yeah.
you see her looking down, you also notice something on her head, a weird sponge. So it's like the slugs from Futurama, the brain sucks.
Slugs.
Yeah, the brain slugs. I concur. It's so
There is
it's
a
an easy edit.
complimentary.
Yeah, so it'd be an easy edit for them to just to kind of make a sad looking picture of Dark, but then just put a sponge, just a gruel sponge on her head, and they'd be like, done. Right? So then she's like, so then go to the next question. There's just like, that's weird. Why she's like that, right? And so they look around and they notice that there's a sponge on her head, and that's kind of weird. Like, why is there a sponge on her head? And then this was when Kate freaks out because she knows what that is. It's a gruel. The
Yeah.
reason she knows what it is because she dealt with it back in Scotland. Why? I don't know. There's gruels over there. That's where they're located.
Ooh, that actually gives me like an idea that you could have used for like a crafting item.
Hmm.
The Encyclopedia of the Weird.
Oh, that's cool. I could have done that too. Yeah, you know what? Get
Yeah, that's
get
something you
rid
could
of the
use with like
get
both
rid of
gruel
the
and
soap.
meat.
Get rid of the soap. Put the encyclopedia weird. Put it with the weird potato, and it's like, oh, you found out it's a lynx. There you go.
Yeah,
We made it
that
work.
that's like a
Yay!
perfect replacement for the fucking dish soap.
Hey, we made it work. Yeah,
Yay!
So she freaks out because it's a gruel, right? So it's like, oh god, it's a gruel. Like, what's a gruel, right? And then it goes to the quest line, and then comes back, and that's when she explains what a gruel is. That she dealt with this thing before. It's a bad luck leech of sorts. What it does is it latches onto
Sponge,
people.
if you will.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
sponge, if you
yeah. It
will.
sucks the life energy like a sponge. It's like, oh, ironic. That's what it is. But yeah. So, anyways,
My God, it looks.
yeah. So it does that. It sucks energy off. It's a sponge, right? Like a leech, and and it's like, well, why don't we take it off her? It's like, no, we can't do that. If you do that, she can die. It's like, what? You mean to tell me that this thing is like you're basically stuck with this thing, right? But she's like, well, how did you deal with this before, right? All right. So then it goes on to there. All right. So then the next quest comes in, and that's when we get back to Dustin. And he's just like, "What was that all about? Like, why was she mean to me? All that stuff, right?" And it's just like, he's trying to come to terms. Like, he felt weird at that point, and he's just like, "No, no, I'm obviously not in love. I'm obviously sick, right? I'm sick with something." And then he's like, he's overhearing something. He's like, What's that? Huh?
I said, no, I'm a psycho.
Yeah. So anyway, he's hearing. It's like, what's going on? So he goes in the bush or something like that. And it's Crodby and Keith talking to one another. And Keith is kind of like, or no, Crodby's just like, I gave you all I got, right? I gave you all the gruels. What do you mean you need more? It's just like, you gotta give me something else, man. I did what you suggested and nothing happened. No one called. So obviously your plan didn't work, troll, right? Your plan didn't work, right? And she's like, well, I don't know
Yeah.
what else I can give you. It's just like, well, I've heard there's a thing. Like, why don't you give me that weird potato thing, right? And he's like, well, a lynx? Are you daft? Are you mad? That thing is even worse. Like, I can understand handling with gruel, but a lynx? Are you mad? That's worse, right? And he's, so anyways, the quest comes in and he kind of comes back and he's just like, listen, you're gonna give me listen, you're gonna give me the links or else I'm gonna tell everybody your dirty secret, troll, right? And he's just like, hey,
Yeah.
all right, fine, I'll give you the thing. Just give me a moment. I just have to be ready for it, prepared, right? So he's like, well, okay, what the hell is he doing with this thing, right? Because it's obviously just one special. But except for that one scene item with the character that's frozen, but don't think about that one. In the story context, there's only one, right? Because it's that dangerous. So Dustin's like, oh no,
Yeah.
that Lucy and Courtney and that weird girl that I like. But no, I don't like them. Right? So you're running over there to kind of do that, right? Right. So to try to warn the girls about this situation that he found out that the something's going down, right? Something weird is going on, right?
Yeah.
So later on, next quest, we kind of go back to Kat telling the girls how she came and dealt with the gruel, right? But she found out that if it feeds on negative energy, right? So if you give the opposite of positive energy, that ends up killing it, right? Because it can't feed on it can't feed on positive, it feeds on negative, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, well, why don't we do that then? Why don't we give positive energy? So like, okay, let's go to like, well, Mortman has one on his head, despite him looking like he always is miserable, right? So so probably one of the animations is probably doing something like playing bagpipes or something stupid like that. I don't know. Like, you could think of something fun with that. The
Yeah.
right. And I'm sure you're gonna love this idea coming up later, but like, obviously it doesn't work, right? It's just like, oh, it doesn't work. Like this is not working, right? And obviously they're realizing that this problem is bigger than they thought because there's more than just one. Like more than one. It's almost like the whole town's infested with these things, right? It's like, oh, the town's doomed, right? And then Dustin comes
Yeah.
in, trying to tell people. It's just like, you know, hey, I got something to tell you. It's just like, not now, boy. Not now, boy. Right? And then Lucy's
Now,
kind of,
Mr.
yeah. And then Lucy goes at her like, what's your problem? Dustin's just trying to help, right? And then like Courtney's just like, guys, stop this. This negative, this whole thing is this bad negative energy. That's kind of like everything like that. It's like we need like if only there was like a positive person that we could come to. And that's when Dustin's like,
Okay, so this reminds me of that fucking chick from the Muppets, the fucking new age crystal type character, you know,
I
who's like with the Electric Mayhem.
yeah, oh Dexter, you know that, yeah, yes. I know who
Yeah,
you're talking about. I'm trying to think what her
you
name.
guys are
Janice,
giving off
that's
like,
it. It's Janice.
yeah, you guys are just giving off negative
Big
vibes,
energy,
and it's
like
hurting
we
my
need, yeah, yeah.
it's
Like we need
hurting
the
my
positive energy.
vibes.
Like my God. Yeah.
Now I need my healing crystals.
I, that's not. Going off topic. That reminds me of a scene from like the Muppets or something like that. Just like they were arguing with one another. Just like, well, you dated with Janice
Yeah.
before. It's like, oh, you wouldn't call it pay dating. Like it's just like that. It's like, all right, you know what? This ends now. If you guys don't talk about this, you're already not getting paid. And then Animal's like, you guys get paid.
Yeah.
That was like the Muppets, like when they're trying to do the Office spin. Like that was from that where that was
Yeah, I love that show. Like, I don't know why they stopped doing that. That was like
because
the best
they,
iteration of
I
the
know
Muppet.
they did it better, and then they brought back in the Muppets Mayhem, which in itself was fun for what it was. It kind of fell off near the tail end, but one of the things they did with that adaptation of the Muppet Mayhem show is that they gave Lips and unique characteristics because Lips was just that they used that one guy who just played the trumpet and that's it. Like they tried to give him something, but there's like we don't know his stick, right? Like we know Zoot is that lazy bum who's just like, what I miss? Yeah, it's like, yeah, you were bet like, I'm gonna be ashamed of you and all that stuff. She said yes. I'm my point taken. Like I take back my statement. Yeah, yeah. So Zoot, the joke with Zoot is that you don't know what the hell he's talking about. It's like, blah, 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 blah. He's the guy you doesn't understand, right?
Yeah, because
You
he's
love
usually like he
sometimes
almost
you
comes
do.
off as like he's just high all the time.
Yeah, like maybe I love it too. It's like, oh God, oh Animal. Well, maybe he's in jail. Maybe he's like maybe he's hurt. Maybe he's dead. Yeah, no, I love the Muppets Mayhem. It's like, yeah, the
Yeah,
Muppets are great. I love the Muppets. They're the best,
yeah.
man. Yeah. I mean, Disney's trying to
Anyway,
do the
back to
best
your
with.
story.
Yeah, the Disney's trying to do the best. We're trying to like. It's like as soon as they got the Muppets, it's like, well, what the fuck can we do with this? They throw ideas out there, but it just doesn't stick. And some of them do. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the ideas are good, but then they kind of fumble the ball. Like with the Muppet Mayhem, that was a great show until it got to near the end. And then it was like, what the fuck is this? It's like it was. You had a good thing going, and then you just ruined it. But I
Yeah,
digress. We're going off topic, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. So
yeah.
Janice character.
Back to the start.
Anyway, it's like, well, if only we had a
You're
common
hurting my
per.
vibes.
Huh? Yeah.
So much negativity. It's hurting my
Negativity,
vibes.
man. It's melting my mellow. Yeah. Anyway, anyways, they're like, God, we need a like if only we had the positive energy here, right? And then Dustin's like, uh, I might know someone who might be able to help, but you might not like it, right? So,
Oh, I know where this is going.
yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do. All right. So, all right. So, anyways, they end up going to the only person in town that is goddamn happy no matter whatever happens, and it's everybody's favorite. Say it with me now.
Susie Snowflake.
Hey! He said the word. Yes. So they go to
Yay!
Susie because she's the most happiest of happy, like as sickening as possible, and of course because she's a cartoon character, kind of like SpongeBob. But anyways, you see her kind of doing her thing, kind of like, yeah, it's only blah, like 300 whatever days till Christmas, well, whatever she likes to do, right?
It's never too early to
Of course, right?
decorate.
So they like knock on the door, right? It's like, ooh, Killer, it's a friend, all that stuff, and he's just like, listen, can we have a like we need your help with something, right? Would you be able to, and I hate to say this, would you be able to spread like we need a special helper to kind of help us out? It's just like, well, I'm so busy with all this stuff, right? It's like, would you help us?
I have to get ready for Christmas.
Would you,
But
but
it
would you
doesn't
help
until
us,
like a few months.
pretty please with Christmas trees? It's like, well, since you asked, okay. What do you have in mind?
No, I would assume like as soon as she hears those words, she was like, "Oh, of course, you said
Of
the
course, friend.
magic
Like, of
word."
course, friend. I always like to help. What can I do? Right? And then later on, we get to Keith, and at this point, he's negotiating with the mayor. And he's like, well, see, Mayor, I'm having a problem right now with the thing, and I might be able to help you, but huh? I know.
Sorry, I was
My
just
Keith character.
laughing at Keith's thing.
I love Keith. See, Mayor.
Yeah, I was just laughing at Keith's thing.
He
He's
might
like, "Oh,
look
I need some
slow,
help with
but
the
he's not.
thing."
He's quite a little genius like type of thing, right? So, anyways, this is like,
Yeah, he's a
so
lazy
later on, like he's
genius.
talking to her, and she's like, "All right," it's like, so let me get this straight. You say that you're going to help get rid of all this stuff if I let you live in my basement and I take care of you. It's like, yeah, that's the deal. It's like, well, I don't got anything else better to do, right? So she's about to sign the thing, and then later she's hearing weird noises. It's like, what's going on outside? She goes outside, and all of a sudden you see Susie Snowflake's throwing crap over. Like, yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm wondering if she should still stick with the Merry Christmas bit, or if she should try to be like a little bit more like St. Patrick's, but more joyish type of thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, kind of make it a Christmassy
Well,
feel.
she's a one trick.
Or in front of,
Well, the thing about Susie Snowflake is that she's a one trick pony.
yeah,
So it's always Christmas all the time, regardless of what time of the year it is.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So
So in her head, like, yeah, Christmas is like several days away, but in her twisted little mind, Christmas is almost like every
every
day of
day,
the fucking year.
all day, every day,
Yeah, exactly.
24/7.
All day, every day.
Yeah. So anyways, it's like,
24/7
hey,
Christmas.
Christmas, whatever. It's like, oh, this is early for Christmas, but it's working. The rules are dropping down dead. They're on the floor.
Yeah.
It doesn't like happy energy. The positive energy is too toxic. It's like too cringy, right? So it's like, well, it's like, yeah. Anyways, yeah. So she's doing this, and he's like, "Well, great. I mean, I guess I don't need you." And then later, it's like, "Wait, where did he go?" And then he's like, "Damn it!" It's like he's getting pissed off that he's like he can't hold himself anymore. Like he's
Yeah, he starts
trying.
vomiting.
He's trying to hold on to his form, but he's getting pissed off. So now he's like, I was like, I'm gonna find him. We did this, right? So later on, it's like, it's working, Dustin. You did it, yay! And then we got Cat. It's just like, I was wrong about you, kid. Blah blah. It's like, oh, sucks, right? Type of thing.
Yeah.
And then Keith overhears this, and he's like, you did this. So now we're gonna play. Like, I had a thing going, and you screwed it. You screwed it up, right? So now we're gonna play a little game where I'm gonna like, here's how it goes. I'm gonna try to catch you. If I do, you're gonna live in your basement. You can take care of me because you don't. And then he just turns to the monster. He's like, and I'm gonna eat you. Basically, it's just like, he's at the point where he's basically exposed who he is, right? Because at this point, he's like, can't, right? So then that's where the end comes in, where it's just like, get to the final prize, which is, I guess, is a statue of a Gruul or Lynx or whatever, right?
Or the two together.
Oh yeah, both. They're loving each other.
Yeah, like
doing
the
that
fucking
weird
Sonic
Sonic
and
and Mario
Mario game where they're both kissing.
You had to go there, right? You had to say that. Do both of them together. They might. God.
I'm gonna have to draw that now.
Yeah, now you gotta draw it. I'm gonna show it off the picture. It's like, oh, look, everybody, that's what you're gonna get for the final prize.
This is the final prize.
See, they love each other. They're not enemies. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, you get to the final prize and all that stuff. So then later, it's just like Dustin's running. It's like, you like, take this, you stupid blob monster! It throws it. It's like hits him in the head. It's like a Gruul? Are you kidding me? Like it's a dead Gruul, by the way. Like it's lifeless, so it just throws it at him. Try to
Yeah,
stop
that's
him.
like throwing a dead bird at somebody. Like, here, take
Basically,
that.
that's basically what happened, right? And he's just like, he got distracted to the point where he's like, wait a minute, why am I sinking? He looks down, he's just like, oh no, a sewer drain, you brat. It's like, I'm sinking into the thing. Like, if I get you out, basically gets washed away because he was so
Damn you,
angry.
Madeline.
It's like, oh, brother, Ryan, look, you know. And then you got Curly's closer, just like, well, that was about funny. It's funny telling pun. But it's like probably just like, if you're feeling down or have a bad luck, maybe look under your kitchen or look under your sink. Maybe there's a Gruul down there. And then it ends, right? So yay! That's your St. Patrick's Day update that never comes. That's the adaptation. So I mean, it's not the greatest, but it's something. I'm sure they probably would have to cut the fat, but that's the gist of it.
Nice.
Yeah. So your thoughts of that? It was okay. Now we're gonna get to Keith's, but
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
yeah, okay. So now we get to Keith's. Keith is a little funny. So when you unlock Keith, I'm trying to think what Keith comes with because honestly, I'm just trying to think because like what would he come with? Like probably a bunker?
Okay, so I was going to say a cellar door. I know it's like an overused thing right now
Yeah,
where
especially
we
with
come
the
up with cellar
basement
door
scene.
constantly.
Yeah, this basement scene, we have one of those.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I also came up with the Milo's comic cellar thing
And I didn't do that.
where it has like the superhero
Yeah.
animate
So
shit.
you and
But
your sellers.
I was thinking, yeah, I was thinking he would just have his own little cellar, and you could just put it near next to anybody's house, honestly.
I like
So
I do like the idea, but I also like the idea of him like having a doomsday bunker. Like it's literally just a thing on the floor. Like what you need, like the entrance to somewhere.
yeah, something similar
Like
to like
like a
the fucking
Flanders
death machine
bunker type of
that
thing.
Mayor Johnson uses.
Yeah, like a Flanders bunker type of thing. But yeah, makes sense
Yeah,
for him. He doesn't have a basement, so that's the best alternative he got because he's looking for a basement. He's looking for a home. He's looking for a forever home. Anyways,
yeah.
so then we get to Keith. So he unlocks his story, which is I live in your basement. I live in the basement. You gotta be hyped about that because there's an exclamation point on this one. So you have to say it like you're really excited because if you don't, you're just selling the point, right? So
You
Curly
just go like
introduced.
the Keith approach and be like, "Yeah, I live in your basement."
Yeah, it's like I live
Yeah.
in your basement. It's like I live in your basement. Yeah,
I live in your basement.
he kind. You know
I
what?
live in your
He's
basement.
acting like this. He kind of sounds like the trope of anime. The monotone anime girl. You know what I'm talking about? The one that shows no emotions, kind of like Courtney, but not really. But he's like low drain energy type character. But he's smart for who he is, right? Because it's gonna come up.
Yeah, he's like the lazy
Yeah,
genius.
because he makes weird trap. He can make good robots, but he doesn't. He's lazy. He's like, okay, what's the quickest way to do this? Okay, here you go. Here's a crappy robot. He does his job good enough. All right, time to find me a basement.
He's like the Alpha Thorn Colonel.
All right, so anyway, so Keith gets introduced. So we get introduced to Keith through Curly or something like that, and he's in the middle of trying to find a basement, a forever home. So he goes to Crombie because he heard over the grapevine that if you were to play his game, you get something in exchange, right? And all you have to do is answer a riddle, right? Or else you get eaten, right? So he,
Answer me these riddles.
yeah, answer me these riddles. So he's just like, I got a good one for you. What? if you knew what I am, then I'm nothing. But if you don't know what I am something. What am I? It's thinking like, oh, I got him this good because, the other kid, Chuck, he had trouble this one, right? He was good at rhyme, so, right? And he's like, I don't know, can I have you live in your basement now? Like, he doesn't know
I
the
don't
answer.
know.
Dude, I can imagine that's exactly what happens. It's like he answers the question, he's like, can I live in your basement now? And then obviously the quest starts and he comes back, he's like, what? No, I can't live in my basement. I don't even have a basement. I have a cellar, right? And then he obviously gets mad about this, but I won the game. I demand retribution. Right?
No, I can just like imagine Keith being like cellar, basement, same shit.
I don't know. He prefers basements. He likes a closed space.
Well,
Anyways,
either
it's just
or,
like,
it's
oh,
something the
what? You're a
house goes
monster?
well.
It's like, wait, you're a monster. And I'm like, oh, hold on. It's like, God, I hate this stupid. It's like, okay, fine. You know what? Hold on. What if I help you with finding a basement, nee? Like, I got something for you. Here, take this. It's a box of gruels. I don't know what to do with it, but I have an idea what you could do, right? You're already wearing a getup, right? Like you're already wearing like a suit, right? You could put the two together, right? And he's like, what am I doing with a box of gruels? It's like, do I have to spell it out for you? It's like, fine. And like, here, you do this, right? And he writes it down on a piece of paper, right? All right, so goes to the next thing. So his next quest, right? So then it's like,
Yeah.
Keith is just like, that has an interesting plan. So all I have to do is go to someone's house, inspect if there's a basement I like, and I just simply put the gruel underneath there. They call, and I get rid of it, and in exchange, I get to live in basement. Yay! Right? So let's look at this place. This looks like a good place. So it's just like knock at the door. Like, brother, can you get that for me? I'm kind of busy in my hand right now. Right, and then he opens it up. It's just like, can I help you? And it's like, oh, it's the Wolf twins.
Yeah.
Hello. I work for I work government. Yes, I work government, and uh, I'm here to inspect
Hi,
for
the
bugs.
government.
I am here to inspect for bugs. Do you have basement? He's like a foreigner. It's like, hello, yes, I work government. Yes, this is my basement. You know what? Now that I think about this, kind of like him being an exterminator, he kind of reminds me of Earl the Bug. Thinking about it now.
Earl the bug.
Yeah, from the Men in Black, that enemy.
Oh yeah, him.
Salt, not salt. Yeah, kind of like that. Kind of like weird. He's like, okay, this kid's kind of odd. It's like he kind of throws up on himself. It's all right, whatever. It's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, we have a basement. Like what? Good. I'm gonna go down. So it goes down and ventures off. Right. Right. So quest starts.
Yeah.
Quest ends. So he's like, this basement's roomy. It smells funny, but beggars can't be choosers. All right, let me do my thing. Opens up the drawer, and he sees something. He's like, meow. I didn't know they had a cat. Brother, should we have told him about the beast that lives in the basement? Oh no, it's fine. I'm sure he's discovered all that before. I mean, he probably could even get rid of the thing, right? And then he looks outside. He's like, "Oh wait, no, never mind. He left." Ah, I'll get the Doreen jam. I thought it'd be a good tie-in to be like, well, yeah, remember when it came beneath the sink was attached to this? Yeah, here you go. Yeah, so I thought that would be funny. So then we get to the next quest. And he's currently trying to find, like, he's in his midst of throwing things all over the place. And by the way, the idea he had originally was basically someone to be like, oh no, there's a gruel here, and he calls him. He's like, I'll save the day, because he was told by Crosby how to deal with these things, like an easy way to deal with them, right? Yeah, you can deal with them by giving a positive energy, but there's also another way. But he doesn't. We don't know what the other way is, but you can only use your imagination. But anyways, the idea of it was supposed to be like, I can save you, but let me live in your basement and you take care of me. It's almost like it's almost like the South Park episode is like, I need about 350. It's like it's a damn like the monster again. I gave him $3. Like, you did what? Woman? No wonder you give that money. Yeah, so it's like this thing. It's just like, I'll do what you want, but let me live in your basement. You take care of me. That's his whole shtick, right? So he's looking around. He's like, this place looks fancy. Maybe it has a big basement. Knocks on the door. It's Darwood, right? And he's like, what do you want? And he's like, I work for. And he's like, look, I can't deal with this right now. I'm busy with stuff. It's just like, have a basement. I just love this character I'm making with Keith.
It's like, I need your basement. It's like, no, go away.
Basement. That's all he thinks about. Anyways, yeah, no, it's just like, it's like, actually, I do. It's just down here, these stairs. And he goes down.
Yeah, it takes him to like fucking Sparkles the
I'm
Dragon.
gonna get to where he's gonna lead him to. It's like, I'll get rid of that, that stupid city. Like, that's the last thing I need, right? So, anyways,
Yeah.
we get to there, and then of course Curly, and then the quest starts, and then gets the end, and then Curly's just like Keith and like. So poor Keith goes around trying to find, he's almost like he's talking, I'm debating whether or not Curly is talking about the current story going on, or if if he's talking about something else entirely. But the joke is Curly's talking, like basically narrating, and all of a sudden he gets interrupted, and Keith is just like, "Excuse me, I'm looking for a basement."
He just walks up to Curly. He's like, "Hey, you got a basement I can
Stupid.
sleep in? I mean, help out with or something."
Yeah, stop here, you stupid! Stop interrupting me, right? It's like, I tell you, it's like I'm the only one who breaks the fourth wall here. Eric Appleby is like, or as the game did at one point, hey Jim. And then it's like, all right, me and Appleby.
I can imagine
That's the
I
only
can
two
imagine
people.
Keith being like, "What about that guy over there?"
Yeah, no, yeah, those are the only two people that break fourth walls. Me and that guy. Except for you, you're okay.
And then he points to Simon. He's like, "What about that guy over there?"
Nah, screw him. Screw that. Who is that sassy lost child?
Yes.
Who is that sassy
Yeah,
lost
Simon's like, "Excuse me, what?"
child? Yeah. So, anyways, so then we get to the final quest, and at this point, he's like, I can't take anymore. I can't. I'm having hard, like he's having a hard time because he's trying to find a basement, but he can't hold his thing much longer, right? And then this is where he gets turned into a monster, right?
Yeah.
He's his true form, right? And this is where he kind of does his spawn. And I'd like to think that his true form, his monster form of sorts, like it's basically disgusting when you describe it. It's like this human like blobby flesh type thing. It's a weird vein pulse. It's like disgusting. It's like fine, son, why? Especially in the book. It's like,
Yeah.
like, Mom, this is like scary. Oh, you want scary? I'll show you scary. It's like this weird bubble gum throwing in your mouth, but it's this weird veiny thing, and it's like it turns out to be a monster. It's like, God, it's like the most body horror I can imagine in writing. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, but I can imagine like a PG version, like kind of like what they did with the egg monsters. Kind of like the egg monsters have veiny stuff as well, so I'm sure they can make a cutesy version of that. But I'll leave it to them. It's weird too because the way they drew Keith monster form in the we don't even get to see it kind of in the download and die. We see it in the concept art, but it looked like it looked like a muck, but a sand version of him. It's weird.
What?
A muck, like from Pokemon.
Oh, muck.
The weird toxic monster, the one that keeps on going attacking.
Something like a sand version.
Yeah, like because it's like in color, like a sandy color, right? It's like light, like brown.
Oh,
yeah. Like if you look at his concept art there, it's like that's what he looks like.
Okay.
But anyways, so that happens. So we get to there, and anyways, the quest happens, and at the end, he's just like, and I like to think when he's in his monster form, he kind of blacks out, right? Because he's like more, I wouldn't say feral, but he's more like almost like Hulk in a sense, right? Can only imagine that. Basement.
Jeez, jeez, need basement.
Weird blob that's eating everything. Basement. Let me live in basement. Take care of me. It's like a giant baby.
Pamper me.
Pamper me. Anyways, yeah. So we get to the end of this, and he wakes up. He's just like, "What? Where am I?" It's just like, wait, this is like he finds out. He's like, oh, wait, I'm in the basement. Oh, this is not. I actually like this place. You know, it's like to him, it looks abandoned, right? Because there's greenery growing all over the place. It's a little bit more exotic because it's like weird plants, but it's like it's nice, right? It's like outside, but not really going outside, right?
Yeah, because fuck going outside.
Whatever this is. Right. So, he's talking to himself. He's kind of like, I can get used to this place. All of a sudden, opens up the door. You see Brewer. What are you doing down here? It's like, oh, say the line, Brewer. Say the line. His monster form. Get out of my basement.
I can imagine Keith be like, the light, it burns.
Yeah, I'd love that. I still love that from the episodes. That stay out of the basement. It's like, oh, he said the thing. Yeah. So that's the end of it. I wanted to have fun with Keith. It was just like, yeah, well, he lives in basements. It's like I had to include Brewer in there. That and also the twins because they had a scene with the basement, so it's like, come on. And then I thought the curly gag was funny. I still love that. I still love what I did with Keith. It's just like the best character. If Keith gets into the game, he better act like that because if he doesn't, I'll be very disappointed. It's like, what am I? A riddle. Let me live in your basement now. Don't you want gold? No.
I'm a riddle. Now let me in your basement.
Yeah, it's just like, all right. I think that's the thing too. You'll probably answer all the riddles correct, right? He's just like, no, let me live in your basement. That's all he wants. Pamper me. Let
He
me
just
live
wants
in your
basement.
basement. That's it. I'm good after that. I'll give you whatever you want. Just let me live in your basement.
Like I can imagine a scene where Keith tries to slowly go into someone's basement and the person's trying to block the door and they're just like, no, stop it. And he's just trying to slink around trying to get
And
into
you
the
could
basement.
floppy
He's
in
like,
there.
stop it, no.
Yeah. Let me live in your basement. That's because
It's like,
in Down
"Well,
to Die, that's kind of what
in
he
your
did too.
basement.
It's like, oh, are you okay, kid? It's like, I'm gonna be okay because you're gonna take care of me. He's like, okay, weird, delirious kid. I'm gonna leave now. And then as he leaves, he's throwing up, right? Because he can't hold on his form much longer. And he's like, near the end, that was a fun twist near the end. It's just like, oh, go take care of your brother. He's like, brother? He goes downstairs, like, what are you doing down here? It's just like, I live here now. You're going to take care of me. Now, how'd you like my phone? It's like, you were the one who did that. It's like, yeah, and I'm going to I could do whatever you want, but you're just going to take care of me down here. This is my home now.
You gotta pamper me.
That was fun. Yeah. And the other weird thing too is that they kind of threw in, they kind of was just like, yes, there's Keith from I Live in Your Basement, and then also there's oh God, I forgot what her name is, but from the Wicked Wax Museum.
Cat?
Cat. That's
Sybil.
yeah, her. She was there, but she was like a hologram. It's just like, what the fuck? Come on, that's a cock teeth, man. But yeah. Anyways, that's my story. That was long enough, but yeah. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I did what I can, but you can adapt
I
and
did.
cut whatever you want.
Yeah.
I kind of expecting to see all that stuff now that we talked about. That would be funny, though.
Wait, I do have a question though.
Yeah.
I do have a question though.
Yeah.
Does Keith appear in the spawn scene?
Yeah. He does that thing where most of the premium characters are doing now, where they spawn in that special scene that you get if you buy all 3 items or 3 bundles. I would say.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. Sorry, I was gonna say there's one of the special premium things you get. Like I'm sure Susie will have an animation because she's a part of the quest line, so why not? I'm giving her an animation.
Yay!
Yeah, yay! Yay! Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but it'd be funny to see what you come
Now,
up
what
with
form of
this because but I guess we can talk about
Keith would he be taking in the Spawn scene?
in the Spawn. Well, there's two ways we can go about this. We can either do it like I was suggesting with him using the suit, or we can have him be literally a blobby mess, right? With weird
But
with the costume.
is he even mobile in that blob mode?
I think he is. I think it acts like a sludge in the sense, like how the blob ate everybody. I'm assuming that's kind of like the same thing. It's just kind of like slithers, or I don't know what blobs move. Either that, or we could do the suit thing. He could do the suit thing, and then when he scares people, he froze up. Yeah, he's like this is a disgusting character, by the way. This is God. I don't know what the hell Simon was thinking. He was just like, no, I'm going out with a bang. And then he had to write the other book. That would be funny because that's technically the last book of the whole the original series before that other one came in, the one that we like to pretend didn't exist. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's about it. Unless there's something else you wanted to talk or add about.
No, that's about it.
All right. Well, I mean, we had fun with that. Hopefully you did too. Now we're gonna go in our closure. So give us a moment. Alright, so that's the end of the episode. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but hey, I hope you had fun with it like I just did. That was fun because I honestly thought this episode was going to be a write-off, but no. We ended up coming up with funny concepts with our characters there, so yeah, it worked out pretty well. So that's about it. So I guess now it's just basically showing off the teaser to the next episode, which I believe you are going to be doing for us this time, right?
Yeah.
Alright, so I think we have a clip here to show you, so have fun with figuring out from this one.
Now, Dracula gonna separate you into two groups. Ugly and dummy. You ugly, you ugly, you ugly, you a dummy. You ugly, you a dummy, and you ugly. You in both.
What purpose does this serve?
Dracula didn't ask for no lip. Dracula trying to bring you an education. Now, dummies, stand over there and face that way. And uglies, stand over there facing that way.
Now what?
Dracula didn't tell you to look over here, dummy. You keep facing the wall.
Yes, sir.
Dracula, he's back in black. He scrapes and licks. Yeah, good old Dracula, he came back.
Lick.
No, Dracula draping. Vampire suck. No, that's a myth. They Dracula shakes and licks like this.
No, that's
Now, don't you, aren't you listening? Scrape and lick. Yeah, so what is Billy and Mandy Dracula? What does that have to do with the next episode? I guess I gotta find out, don't you? Use your brain, use your brain. You get big brain time, figure out what's going on. But I guess that's about it. We're gonna end it right now so we can have some.
Do the noodle dance.
Oh boy, here we go.
Sorry, I'm like.
No,
As soon as you said use your brain, the
New
first thing that
Noodle
came to
Day.
mind.
Oh god,
head
yeah,
was
I
like
remember that.
noodle
Now I
dance.
remember that. Oh god, that was a show. I even forgot that existed. It's like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
I love
The
that
PJ, what was that? I don't know.
show. I love that show.
It was an Otters, right? The Otters or something like that. I'm trying to think. There's like a sister, a brother,
PB&J
and a
Otter.
baby. Huh?
It's PB&J Otter.
That's what it is. Yeah, I knew it was something like that, but I couldn't for the life of me think of it.
Yeah, the sister's name was Peanut. The brother's name was no. Hang on. The sister's name was no.
I'm trying to remember a name. Great. Yeah, great ending. Great ending. Yay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, that's a show.
Well, it wasn't really an ending. It was just like a little.
We're getting to the ending.
There's just a little song.
Yeah, we're already talking too much.
Okay.
I'm sure the people are long enough. They're like, all right, I'm done. I already wrote my essay now. We can stop this. So, all right. Well, I guess we'll talk more in our next episode. Hopefully, much better, and we get to hear exactly what Plant Vampire has in store. Until then, I've been Grim.
And I've been Playboy Vampire, and you've watched Disney Channel.
And do that little Disney thing in there. And that's a wrap.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to edit that in.
If they have that ability on there. If not, you know what I'll do? There's a thing where people are like, oh, you know how people do the Disney Channel thing, right? They're like, all right, this is what they're actually
Yeah.
drawing, and they just see this weird fucking trickle squiggly lines. It's like I'm drawing the ears.
Yeah, but the difference is, but
Yeah.
but I think the difference is that you can actually use your like finger to draw shit on the screen.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, I can, but
Just like
I'm lazy.
with
I'm lazy. I don't want to do that. All right. So, yeah, I've been Grim. He's been Vampire. That's been the Disney Channel, and that's a wrap.
see ya.
God, that kissing scene, though.